Hello and welcome to the University of Michigan Stadium in Ann Arbor, Michigan for another presentation of WCBN Sports' coverage of Michigan football. I'm Alex Strain, joined by Lucas Fargas. We'll have Alex Shee and Daniel Thompson in the second half for this matchup between the Michigan Wolverines and the Army Black Knights. I want to thank you for joining us for a beautiful noon game, Saturday, September the 7th here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And we have the coin toss going down on the field. Just got a beautiful presentation of the national anthem with two flags on the field, a very patriotic day at the Big House. But what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to the triple option in town. We saw it a couple years ago when Air Force came over, but, I had been thinking, why would you ever really want to play Army, a team that, you know what they're going to do on offense, triple option, and you're not going to see that unless you play really another of the Service Academy teams, which Michigan will most likely not be doing for the rest of the season. And, you want to use your non-conference matchups as an opportunity to prepare for what you'll see during the season. And obviously, like I said, you're not going to see the triple option again, especially in the Big Ten. But thinking about it a little bit more, the triple option makes you be as disciplined as you possibly can be. I mean, you have to fit your gap with great effort and intensity on the defensive line. It's all about gap integrity in this game for Michigan, and it's a great test for an unproven defense. It's going to be a very different look from what they got against Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee was so fast, getting the ball to the perimeter as fast as they could, up-tempo. Army is going to eat up the clock. They're going to try and minimize possessions. They want to go on long drives, not in a hurry, very time-consuming, very disciplined team that just wants to get 3 yards every play. If they get 3 yards every single play, they are going to be satisfied. And, it's going to be up to Michigan to prevent the big plays, keep them in third and long situations so they can't go for it on fourth down. Army, one of the best teams at converting fourth downs in the country. And, we're going to get to see Michigan offense have an opportunity to sharpen up some of the errors they had last week. See week 2 of the offense, see how it looks against another defense. Army, a good team. So good challenge here for Michigan before they get into Big Ten play coming up.
So we're just about ready to go. The coin toss was won by the Michigan Wolverines, and so they have deferred to the second half. The Army Black Knights will receive the opening kickoff. It's Jake Moody to do it. We saw a bit of a kicking competition last week with Nordine doing extra points, Moody doing kickoffs and field goals, and he is indeed going to do the opening kickoff here. Michigan wearing maybe the greatest uniforms in all of college football.
Got some clean looks on the field today, Alex. Very clean looks.
Blue tops, the maize pants, the iconic winged helmet up against the Stormtrooper all-white uniforms for Army with
solid black helmets.
Solid black helmet. And
it's
here
a good
we go.
Look.
Moody will start at the 26-yard line as usual. The ball is placed down on the right hash mark of the 35-yard line. He paces over to the center of the field, and then he'll get ready to boot it, but it fell off the tee, and we'll do it again.
Just a quick word on the kicking competition. I believe what they're doing is Moody and Nordine, when one of them scores 3 points, then it's the next one's turn. So say Moody kicks a field goal, and Nordine, then he has the opportunity to get the next 3 points, and they switch back and forth. See if that holds up in today's kicking game as well.
So Moody will get ready to run up and boot it away. A high arcing kick. They like to land it right around the goal line. This one will go a little deeper than that. Land smack dab on the H in the middle of the end zone for a touchback. Some pushing and shoving on the kickoff coverage, but Army will get the ball at the 25-yard line. The distinctive factor, the Army Black Knights offense, they run the triple option. One of the only teams in college football to do that now that Georgia Tech has eliminated it, unfortunately.
That's right, the flexbone triple option, derivative of the old wishbone offense.
Yeah,
very famous from UT and teams down south, but they pull those two backs now up, look almost like tight ends just behind the offensive line. Makes them passing threats. At least the linebackers have to respect it a lot more, and it does add that extra element to the wing T offense. We'll see how it looks today, triple option.
So Michigan goes with 3 down linemen, and it's going to be a quick run over to the right side, and nothing going on there for the quarterback, Kelvin Hopkins, the senior out of Charlotte, North Carolina, Independence High School. He came in after Ahmad Bradshaw, who was really the guy that got Army from a destroyed program back to relevance. Hopkins just picked up where he left off a year ago. It was in a bit of a QB competition. Now it's his job.
He's got great command and control of this offense, and as we've seen here, Army going to be very slow and meticulous in the huddle, getting the guys they want, trying to get into a situation where they can average those 3 yards per play that they need to convert and 4 downs.
So after getting nothing on 1st and 10, it's now 2nd and 10 from the 25, and it's going to be kept by Hopkins. He runs to the side. Now he'll pitch it, and that's going nowhere, out of bounds after a gain of just 2. Trying to see who he pitched it to. It appears number 32, Artis Hobbs, the 4th, is the one picking that one up. A lot of different guys get the tosses in this Army offense. Sandon McCoy, Kel Walker, Connor Slumka, Artis Hobbs the 4th, Malik Hancock. A lot of guys will be involved.
And that makes it tough for the Michigan defense, is that you can't really key in on one guy and follow him through the motion. You have to really be disciplined and follow where the ball is going, but more importantly, just fit your gap and trust that you doing your job is going to be the right thing.
So now 3rd down and 8, and it looks like we're going to have a timeout taken right away by Jeff Monken from Army. And so they will think about this 3rd and 8. And Army is a team, because they try and get 3-4 yards on every play, they live in 3rd and short situations. 3rd and 8 is tough for a team that barely ever throws the ball.
Right, an obvious passing down here, and it's not something that Army wants to do. When they do throw the ball, they want it to be out of that triple option look. That way they know that they can suck up a linebacker, trick them with some play action, some motion, etc. And being 3rd and 8, you don't necessarily have the luxury to be able to do that because the linebackers don't necessarily have to play aggressively on the run. So this gives Michigan a great opportunity here, and Army in an early 3rd and 8. It's going to be tough for them.
Kelvin Hopkins attempted 10-plus passes just twice last season. He attempted 8 in Week 1 against Rice, 3 for 8 for 53 yards and a touchdown. That's compared to 21 rushes by Hopkins. He also had Sandon McCoy rushing it 20 times for 70 yards. Again, very short yards per carry, but a lot of attempts. And as a result, when you look at efficiency metrics, Army's rush offense is pretty poor because they don't gain much. Their pass offense is considered one of the best in college football because it's efficient. When they do throw, it goes a long way. So it's really kind of misleading stats when you look at efficiency metrics. I mean, this is a team that is not designed to win games the way we think about winning games. The advanced metrics don't love Army because they play a brand of football that results in a lot of close games. Close against great teams and close against terrible teams like Rice, a 14-7 win last week.
Yeah, you got to have the right guys to be able to play a system like the triple option. I mean, you got to have very smart and disciplined football players, which, students at the Armed Forces Academy do have those characteristics, and they just get their job done. To cut block is a big part of their blocking scheme on that offensive line. They're not going to try and overpower you physically because, just simply put, they're not really built to do that. And they play to their strength very, very well, which is just getting lower than the defensive linemen and trying to make a pile so that they can't get in the backfield and make a tackle for loss.
So as we wait for both these teams huddled up on that first 2 plays, Michigan was going normally with about 3 down linemen. And as a result, they were really stuffing the box with the linebackers.
I think that's a good idea, too. I mean, you get guys with their hands in the dirt. They don't necessarily have a lot of room to see what's going on. But if you have a guy take a few steps away from the line of scrimmage like a linebacker, then they have a lot of room to see a play unfold, see the gap unfold, and then fit that gap appropriately. I think it's a good strategy to mix up the look between 3 and 4 down linemen.
So now here we go. 3rd down and 8 yards to go. The referees blow the whistle and get ready to get going. Carlo Kemp stands right over the center, Peyton Reeder. Now they're going to run it with Hopkins. He's going to pitch it to the outside. They might have the room cutting back, but now bottled up quickly at the 31-yard line there. A great tackle by Josh Metellus coming up from the safety position to grab Cal Walker after a gain of about 4 yards, and now it's 4th down.
And Michigan just went with a 3-3 stack there from the defensive line and the linebackers, also adding 3 safeties to give that high look from the coverage, but really daring Army to run that play. And on 3rd and 8, like we said, it's going to be tough for a team that plays the way Army does.
So here we go, 4th down and 4. Out comes the punter, Cole Talley, and he hits it away. This one is going to drop and bounce, rolling past the 35, and it will roll all the way down to just inside the 28-yard line, almost the 27. Bad decision not to make the fair catch there by Ronnie Bell, and out comes the new-look Michigan offense.
I'll go back to that punt return for a minute there. Last week, Levert Hill was returning the punts, and you and I were a little confused on why that was the case. Ronnie Bell back there today, but something that's always stressed at punt return practice. You don't spend a lot of time necessarily on it all the time, but you got to catch the ball in the air, and you can't allow the ball to be bouncing all over the place. Ronnie Bell's got to catch that, fair catch or otherwise, in the air.
So out comes Shea Patterson in the Michigan offense. Shea sets up in the shotgun formation after a tumultuous week one that saw him quite efficient in the air to begin, then a little bumpy afterwards. They give it off to Zach Charbonnet up the middle. He's got a first down and more. Cuts it back past the 35 and down to the 39-yard line, and the freshman from Camarillo, California, picks up 12 yards for a first down.
Charbonnet, the great performance in week one. Pass blocking, can obviously do it on the ground as well. Looks like he might seize the reins as a starting running back.
And he stands next to Shea Patterson. Patterson will drop back. They're going to throw a screen. It's off the fingertips of Charbonnet and incomplete as they were pulling the lineman to the right side.
Well, and that's something that I felt like Michigan needed to look more at from last week, is just looking at getting the ball out quickly to their playmakers off short passes, and they attempt to do that on the running back swing pass, but Charbonnet unable to make the catch. I don't know if he would have gotten much off that either. Patterson right there for Army.
2nd and 10, and they're going to do a jet sweep out to the right side, trying to find space off the edges. Mike St. Ristel, and he gets nothing at all, pushed out of bounds after no gain. That was actually Giles Jackson, number 15, with that one. Now 3rd and 10.
Well, that's a great job by Javari Bordeaux for Army, coming in and really stringing it out. St. Ristel wanted to, or Giles, as you mentioned, wanted to cut it up the hashes, but had to keep going towards the sideline. Army did a great job stringing that out. Michigan now in a 3rd and long of their own.
3rd and 10 for the Michigan offense on the 39-yard line. Patterson looks to take the snap. 4 wideouts and a running back to his right. It's Charbonnet. Army shows blitz. They're going to bring the pressure. Patterson rolls out to the right. Looks like there's going to be a flag down the field. He completes it anyway to a man diving out of bounds is Ronnie Bell for a first down. It looks like there was going to be defensive holding or pass interference regardless, as some receivers got tangled up over the middle.
Michigan flooded the entire right side of the offensive formation on that play, and Ronnie Bell keep working.
And it is a defensive holding. That penalty will be declined as Michigan did pick up the first down to Ronnie Bell out to the 49-yard line of Army, now in offensive territory.
It's a great job by Zach Charbonnet, though, on the blitz pickup. As you mentioned, blitz look by the Army defense. They did send quite a few guys to pressure the pass, and Charbonnet stepping right up into the A-gap, getting a good block.
So Patterson now will set up from the Army 49-yard line. 1st and 10, 2 wideouts to the right. Now they're going to bring Eubanks to the left side, and now it appears that there was a false start. Looked like on the left side of the line, either Bredesen or Runyon. It is Bredesen, number 74.
And the right tackle position is going to be interesting to watch today with Jalen Mayfield and Ryan Hayes after he played last week.
Yeah.
I believe competing now for that right tackle spot.
So now that'll back Michigan up to the 46-yard line. 1st and 15. They bring Eubanks across. They have Christian Turner now, and they will give it to Turner up the middle. He shakes a tackler out to the 45, and he barrels forward for a big gain of almost 11 yards there out to the Army 43-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 4.
Well, the run game's getting going early on now for Michigan, and that's a great sign. Going to open up a lot of things for the passing game.
Yeah, it looks like Cesar Ruiz coming across, opening up a big hole between himself and Bredesen there for the big chunk pickup. They keep Turner on the field to Patterson's right. 2 tight ends on the right side, 2 wideouts to the left. Patterson points something out with the blitz packages. Now he's going to throw down the seam to Tariq Black. It's caught for a first down inside the 30-yard line to the 28 for a first down.
Yeah, good job by Tariq Black. Also recognizing the blitz and just filling right where that linebacker came from. A little bit of open room by that slant route and able to convert for a first down.
So Black, who last week had 4 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown, finally healthy for this Michigan team, and he's a big weapon right now while Donovan Peoples-Jones is still a little banged up. Now Shea takes the snap in the shotgun formation. Pressure comes up the middle, and he loses the ball, and it's going to be a scramble for it. I can't tell who got it. It looks like Army, and they do. The Black Knights take over on the 40-yard line.
And that was Arik Smith coming in on the late delayed blitz. And Shea Patterson just a little bit casual with the ball once again on the opening possession for Michigan. And that fumble had dangerous potential, but a couple guys diving for it on both sides, and Army's going to take over. So 2nd game in a row now where the Michigan offensive possession starts with a fumble.
It looks like Ryan Hayes was playing left tackle on that snap, did not see the blitzing linebacker, was late to pick him up. He came unevaded up the middle, and Patterson a little too willy-nilly with the ball in his hand, and it comes out. That's now the second fumble in 2 weeks for Patterson. The ball will be placed on the 40, and Army will take over there on an offense that was really clicking before that moment.
It was looking great, and it was looking like they were in a rhythm. A couple big plays back-to-back, and one delayed blitz. You don't pick it up, and credit to Reek Smith for making a great play on the ball. Coming in on that blitz, very good timing for it, and Army gets a stop they needed.
Well, the nature of the Army defense is a lot of blitzing. Last season, they never sent less than 4, but also never more than 6. They normally bring 4, 5, or 6 guys, and that one was one of the bigger blitz packages, and they were able to fool the offensive line, force that turnover. Now we'll see the Army offense go back out there.
And Army defensively on those blitz packages, they're looking to really create confusion on the offensive line, where as Middle Tennessee a week ago was really just sending guys as fast as they could. Army is actually trying to stunt guys, loop them around to create confusion for the Michigan linemen on who has who exactly, and it's going to be tough for Michigan to communicate all those different shifts and stunts, but that's going to be something that they're going to see a lot more come later in the year, so good preparation for that offensive line as well.
So as we stand at 10:13 remaining in the first quarter, Michigan and Army scoreless at 0. Michigan 38 total yards to Army's 6. They were well into Army territory until a 1st down and 10 sack by Reek Smith with the forced fumble, and then the recovery done there by Bonsu of Army.
Now we're going to see the Michigan defensive response. Last week giving up that touchdown immediately off the turnover. See how they respond here. Obviously Army not quite as far down the field as the turnover last week, but we'll see Army's response to being stuffed pretty heavily on that opening possession of their own. 3 and out.
Yeah, they didn't have much room at all, and this is a Michigan defensive front that's got a lot of questions. Last week you had Ben Mason, a converted fullback, and pretty undersized for a Big Ten defensive tackle, starting at that position. And so out come the 2 respective units. Donovan Jeter was supposed to be back this week, as was Michael Dwumfor. I have not seen them yet. They've been going with a defensive front that's really 2 defensive ends and then just Carlo Kemp in the middle. Now here comes Army. The first play, they're going to go right up the gut and get about 3 yards, which is kind of their patented offensive move. We'll make it 2nd and 7.
And that's all that they're looking for. All they want is 3 to 4 yards every play, and it's one of the few times that the Army lineman will just charge straight at you, and really got good push on that defensive front.
They give him 4 there, 2nd and 6. Connor Slomka, the fullback, was a ball carrier. He was nicked up in week 1. It's a huge to get him back for the Army Black Knights. Now Hopkins takes the snap. He'll hand it right off the middle, and that one looks like to pick up another maybe 4 yards on the play, which will set up 3rd and short. Quiddy Pay and Aiden Hutchinson anchoring that middle, along with Josh Ross from the middle linebacker position, helping to make the stop.
Well, Army is getting great push up front when Michigan's only going with these 3 down linemen right now, and as you mentioned, relatively small guys, so they're going to probably force Michigan to add another guy to that defensive line, and Josh Uche is really scooting up here.
Yeah, Michigan now putting 3 down linemen, but a couple other guys at the line, and that one goes right up the middle, and he did not get it. That will create a 4th down and 1 after a 1-yard gain. Connor Slomka gets the carry for the 3rd straight down. 4th and 1, and Army's going to go for this. They were 21 of 23 on 4th and 1 last season.
I expect some sort of fake fullback dive, pitch to the outside. They've been really sucking in the Michigan defense now and sucking him up to the line of scrimmage after getting great push those first 2 plays.
Army was first in the country in 3rd down efficiency a year ago and first in the country in 4th down efficiency. They are made for these down and distance situations. 4th and 1 right up the middle, and the Black Knights get it. A 2-yard pickup to the 49-yard line of Michigan, crossing midfield, and a 1st down. Carlo Kemp on the tackle as Connor Slomka carries it again, and it takes them 4 plays, but they do manage to get 11 yards.
And so when Army converts, you've just got to reset and accept that you've got another 4 downs to prevent them from gaining 10 yards. It's going to be a battle all day long for the Michigan defense.
So 1st and 10 from the Army 49, or from the Michigan 49 rather. The Army Black Knights give it off. No, they're going to pitch it to the outside, and there's a little bit of a hole past the 40 to the 35, cutting outside 25-20, and finally brought down at the 18-yard line. Brad Hawkins making the tackle, as it was number 5, Kel Walker. He's more of the speed back, using that speed on the edge.
Oh, and there you go. There you have it, where Army's been sucking Michigan inside now, biting on that fullback dive, and the pitch to the outside. A lot of room out there if you're not disciplined, and no linebacker over the top to stop it. Big gain for Army.
So here we go, 1st and 10 inside the Michigan 20 at the 18-yard line. Hopkins under center, and he's just going to give it off up the middle for another solid chunk gain of about 4 yards there for Connor Slumka.
And Army's really finding a rhythm that they didn't even have last week against Rice. This is an Army team that we know is very dangerous offensively, though, especially after that bowl game against Houston a season ago.
So 2nd down and roughly 5.5, spotted about the 13.5-yard line. Hopkins goes under center on pretty much every play. Now he's got one man in the backfield, a couple guys to the side, and they are just going to give it right up the middle. This goes to about the 10.5-yard line. Sandon McCoy, who is the other fullback, a junior from Kannapolis, North Carolina, carries it for a couple yards now. 3rd down and 2, spotted officially at the 10-yard line. Josh Ross, the tackler there for Michigan. And now we're already under 7 minutes to go here in this first quarter. No score between Army and Michigan. The Black Knights been holding the ball for a long time on this possession. 3rd and short, they bring a guy across. Hopkins is going to run it himself, and he is going to get the 1st down and more inside the 5-yard line before Kalik Hudson and Jordan Glasgow can shove him out at the 3-yard line.
Hopkins, great decision keeping that one, almost getting all the way, but Michigan is just playing so aggressively on the interior of that offensive line that the outside pitches or quarterback runs are just going to be very dangerous right now. You know, Army is getting whatever they want on this drive.
So as we hit the 6 minute remaining in the first quarter mark, Army 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. This is what they are made to do. They give it off up the middle. Slumka is stuffed at the 1-yard line. Looked like Ross came up the middle to hammer him backwards. Stonewall, and we'll have 2nd and goal at the 1-yard line. Jordan Glasgow also in on that tackle. Gain of 1, 2nd down and goal. And Army is an interesting team because they try to get up to the line at about 20 on the play clock, but then they wait all the way down to 0 to run their play. A big part of the strategy, obviously, to bleed the clock, limit possessions. And this is the ideal Army drive right here. They took over the ball at 10:13. This is a 5-minute drive already. Now up the middle, into the end zone. The touchdown for Sandon McCoy. And the Black Knights take a 6-0 lead pending the PAT.
And that's just Army football. Driving you down all the way down the field. Very physical. And it just took that one big play on that pitch to the outside to really get them down the field in a hurry before the physicality takes over. And Michigan defense has not done a good job responding off of turnovers this season.
So here we go. The place kicker coming out to boot this one through. Cole Talley comes up, snap is up, kick is a little wobbly, but it goes through the uprights. And the Army Black Knights take an early 7-0 lead, 5:01 remaining in the first quarter here at the Big House.
And so the Michigan offense is going to have to come out and respond. Cannot allow yourself to get behind against Army because of the way they eat the clock up. And you look back to the Oklahoma game a season ago where Army almost stole that game in Norman. It's because of they possessed the ball 75% of the game.
Yeah.
You know, and you let the most explosive team in college football last season, Oklahoma, barely possess the football, and you give yourself a chance that way. So Michigan's going to have to find a way to respond, and more importantly, how to respond after turnovers. It was an issue we saw last week, and it cannot present itself again this week.
Well, and that was pretty much a signature Army drive there. 10 plays, 60 yards, lasting just over 5 minutes in length. They got a couple chunk plays when they were able to mix those interior fullback dives with the speed back on the outside. We'll see how Michigan's offense responded. I mean, they were clicking. They had 38 total yards in only 7 plays. We're well into Army territory. And then the strip sack of Shea Patterson gives the ball back to Army, and the Black Knights have now possessed it for quite a while in this first quarter. As we look around scores around college football, Iowa leads Rutgers 7-0, 8:09 remaining in the first quarter there. That's the only Big Ten versus Big Ten game going on this week. But you also have Maryland, a surprising 14-0 lead on a top 25 Syracuse team in the early stages of the first quarter. We've also got Vanderbilt up 7-0 over Purdue. Cincinnati trailing Ohio State 7-0. And those are all the Big Ten games going on right now. The 3:30 hour will have Central Michigan, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Colorado, Illinois, UConn, Eastern Illinois, Indiana. And then in the night games, Buffalo, Penn State, Western Michigan, Michigan State, and then last but not least, out west, the Minnesota Golden Gophers at Fresno State. That one might be the most interesting game of the week with the way Fresno State almost defeated USC.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of USC, I mean, tough injury for their quarterback, JT McDaniels.
Yeah.
You know, young guy, really, really young guy. And having the ACL, MCL tearing his knee, I mean, tough for his future, but hopefully he makes a, full recovery, and he's got a lot of football left in him, but tough blow for that USC team as well.
And obviously Clay Helton on the hot seat.
With Urban Meyer next in line.
Yeah. So Cole Talley is going to be doing the kickoff here. Giles Jackson back deep. He had a good week 1 kick returning. He had one he took out to the 38-yard line. Talley, a freshman from Rockwall, Texas, a new kicker for Army this season. It's an Army team laden with veterans, but Cole Talley, not one of those.
The Army likes to go into that Dallas area and get guys.
A lot of their players on this roster from Texas, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, drawing heavily from the southern United States. Giles Jackson will take it at the 1-yard line. He's going to have an opportunity to run it out. He's out to the 20, makes a nice little cutback, spins around, and now he'll be brought down at the 29-yard line. But some pretty exciting returns we've seen so far this season from Giles Jackson.
And no shortage of speed out of him, and getting out to the 30 in a hurry.
Freedom High School, and he's a guy who was borderline top 300, but Michigan really liked him, and so they pursued him heavily. Like, he was really the guy that they wanted. Giles Jackson, in fact, ran a 3.85 shuttle, which is one of the best testing scores in the country. And now it looks like we're going to have a review of whether there was a fumble on that kickoff.
Well, there was a huge pileup.
Yeah.
After that play. I'm not sure if there'll be anything that you can see or
I don't
not,
know how you could see anything inside that mosh pit.
It's about 2 teams full of guys around Giles Jackson.
So 4:53 remaining in the first quarter. Army 7, Michigan 0. Now the Michigan Wolverines have a decent bit of experience playing service academies this decade, having played Air Force in 2012 and then again in 2017, and now Army comes to the big house here.
10th ever matchup between
the
Army Black Knights and the Michigan Wolverines.
And the interesting fact about that, Army is the only team in history to have a winning record against Michigan in more than 8 games played. Currently 5-4 in the all-time series. So that record at stake here today. The first meeting between Michigan and Army, 1945. The last one, 1962.
Think they ran the triple option back then?
Yeah, I've got some stories about the 45 game to drop at a later point in this broadcast. As we now continue to wait around, both teams huddling up on their respective sidelines.
Since we talked about USC very briefly and obviously made the Urban Meyer joke, do you think that, and this game's also on Fox, do you think that like Urban Meyer's allowed to go watch Michigan practice and say like, oh, I'm doing it for media?
Well,
go back to his assistant athletic director position.
Well, I saw that last week
he
was doing an interview with Ryan Day on Fox, and I was just like,
doesn't he like still have an office next to him? Man's a sleeper spy right there.
So nothing changed out of that extended timeout. Michigan still has the ball on the 30-yard line. Shea Patterson goes back out for his second series of work, 3 for 4 for 27 yards. The only incompletion, a drop by Charbonnet on a screen pass in that first series. But Michigan obviously some urgency now to try and tie this game. Three wideouts, Patterson in the shotgun. He's got Charbonnet to his right, and he will give it to him. He goes right up the middle for just 1 yard. That's a nice play up the gut by the defensive tackles, Rod Stoddard, Jacob Covington.
And Jacob Covington from Liberty Hill, Texas, just outside of Austin. And big game in Austin tonight against LSU, but Liberty Hill, Texas is the home of Bevo.
Yeah.
The Longhorn mascot for Texas. Nice little fun fact there. Liberty Hill, a very good program, too. They run the wing T.
And so Patterson now drops back. He's going to throw a nice little underneath route complete there to Tariq Black. He will gain close to 8 yards, almost 9 there. It'll set up third down and 1 or 2, depending on where they spot the football. They're going to put it about the 38.5, so third and 1.5 yards as Black went out of bounds, pushed out there by Elijah Riley, the senior corner from Port Jefferson, New York. He's a star on this Army defense, a 4-year starter at cornerback, used heavily as a blitzer, and now they're going to give it off up the middle by Zach Charbonnet. He'll get the first down to the 41.5-yard line, brought down there up the gut by Cole Christensen, but not before he could get the first down. Christensen and Eric Smith really do a lot of the tackling for this Army team. The middle linebackers are used as that. Smith is often sort of the fullback for Christensen to do the tackling. Christensen is the team captain, a senior from Suffolk, Virginia. Patterson takes the snap, gets ready to drop back on 1st and 10. He's going to fire down the field. He's got a man wide open, and just off the hands of Ronnie Bell. Definitely seemed catchable to me, but it will drop incomplete, 2nd and 10.
Well, and goes back to last week once again. Ronnie Bell, how many chances has he had to score now this season? I mean, how many opportunities has that guy had to catch a pass and have a lot of open room with him? I mean,
watching it on replay, it might have been about 6 inches in front of his hands, but I mean, it definitely seemed like it went through the mitts.
It's got to come down with a pass like that.
Yep. So now 2nd and 10, Michigan from the 42-yard line. 3 minutes, 30 seconds to go in the first quarter. 7-0 Army on top. Patterson is going to give it off up the gut to Charbonnet again, who rumbles forward for 5 yards there, and now it'll be 3rd and medium.
Charbonnet's really been working hard as the running back here. They've given him a pretty healthy dose of carries so far in this game.
So now 3rd down and 5 as the clock ticks down close to the 3-minute mark, remaining in the first quarter of action. They'll send Collins and Black out wide to the left side. A lot of 2 wide receiver sets as they've got the 2 tight ends. McCune in line and Eubanks a little behind him. Charbonnet in pass blocking situation. Patterson is just going to sling it out to the flat to Charbonnet, and he'll be tackled easily after no gain. Might have lost a yard. Patterson very skittish there and quick to get it out. And that'll bring up 4th down. And out comes the punting team. We've got a B in this broadcast booth.
That's a big B.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So out comes Will Hart. He punted 5 times last week against MTSU for an average of 41.6 yards per punt. And now, do we have a penalty on Army? Or a timeout? The referees were very quick to blow that play dead. No, it's a false start on Michigan. It looked like the Wolverines were excited when the whistle initially blew, but instead, that backs Michigan up. They call it on number 8 officially. I don't think that's Ronnie Bell. Let's take a look at who wears number 8. Well, it's either him or Gill, so I would assume it's Gill. Michigan runs that sort of pro-style punt defense to avoid having any punts blocked. They've been running it ever since a certain punting mishap. And now there's a fake. They're going to throw down the sidelines, and it's going to be a first down and more. 45-40 down the sideline, out of bounds at the 34.
Dax Hill.
Number 30, Daxton Hill, the freshman 5-star safety out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And Michigan pulls the tricks out of the bag.
I mean, I was literally about to tell you after the punt, I assumed they were just going to punt it, but Army brought everybody inside and left 2 gunners on the outside completely just wide open. And the pass goes to Dax Hill. I mean, we know how talented that guy is, and it works. You can't leave a gunner on the outside uncovered like that.
And he had to make one sort of sidestep move, and he did it very well. And then from there, he was off. One of the most athletic recruits in the entire country in the 2019 recruiting class. Patterson drops back. He waits. He's going to fire across the middle. Got it complete. And out of bounds is Nick Eubanks inside the 10-yard line. It'll be first and goal, Wolverines.
It's all day long, beautiful pocket. And this is where Michigan's got to find a way to quick strike off that change in momentum. Army is riding along, coming off that touchdown. They get a stop defensively, and now you get the fake punt, you get the good play, and now you're inside the 10-yard line. You got to find a way to punch this in. Don't play with your food.
1:20 remaining in the first quarter. Army 7, Michigan 0. Wolverines first and goal from the 9, trying to tie it up, and they give it off up the middle to Christian Turner, and he bangs forward inside the 6-yard line for a medium gain on first and goal. We have not seen any True Wilson so far in this game, a guy who was kind of expected to be the number 1 back entering the season. He's been dealing with some hand issues, we understand, but healthy dose of Turner and Charbonnet at this point. Second and goal from the 6. Now they bring Charbonnet on the field sub. Turner off. They're going to bring Black inside to the slot position, and now they're going to run it around. They've got Black wide open. Patterson finds him, but it's off his hands and incomplete. A drop by Tariq Black, and now it'll be third and goal.
I mean, that's something that you've been looking for all along with this early offense. You bring guy in motion, fake the handoff, and it's just a short little dump-off pass. Let the guy with the athleticism go make a play, and now you find yourself in 3rd and 6. Army's got life here if they can get one stop.
It may not have been a touchdown for sure, but if not, it would have been about the 1-yard line because he had some space around the edge after a nice block was set by Sean McCune there. Third and goal from the 6, 34 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Patterson drops back. Army brings some pressure. They pick it up well. He fires way over the head of Nico Collins, but a flag comes in, and it's going to be first and goal, Michigan from the 2 once this pass interference is announced.
Yeah, and I don't even know about that call. I think that ball was a little bit overthrown, and I'd say that was pretty good coverage.
Yeah, thrown from the back judge there. And they say officially pass interference.
Yeah, Michigan got bailed out by that call, that's for sure.
That's number 23, Elijah Riley, who we mentioned is sort of the leader of the secondary. At 6 foot was covering 6'4" Nico Collins, so obviously a height mismatch there. But that throw was a little high from Patterson.
Yeah, I don't think that was a penalty that needed to be called. Michigan's got to convert that play themselves, but here's another opportunity here from the 2-yard line.
Now the Wolverines will take it. First and goal from the 2-yard line. Patterson now under center for the first time all game, and he's going to give it off right up the middle to Charbonnet. He goes into the end zone. Touchdown, Michigan.
Zach Charbonnet, he's doing everything right in these first 2 games. He's going to be the running back here for a long time.
Yeah. 24 seconds remaining in the first quarter as Michigan dives into the end zone. Pending the PAT, we look to have a tied game heading into the second quarter. As out comes Zach Quinn Nordine it is. So the kicking competition continues to go on with Nordine getting the first extra point here. Hart, the holder, and of course Cameron Cheeseman, the long snapper for Michigan. Snap out, hold is good, the kick is up, and it is right through. So our score with 24 seconds remaining in the first quarter, Army 7, Michigan 7.
So the special teams play, setting up that touchdown. See how the Michigan defense has adjusted to that triple option. I mean, you can't oversell on one specific thing when you're trying to play defense against Army because of all the ways that they can run the ball. But they've got to make a couple adjustments and get that sorted out.
Well, if you want to talk about long drives, I mean, Michigan, 11 plays, 70 yards there on that touchdown drive. Now, 437 means that they didn't use as much time as Army does, but it's still a lot of medium plays, with the exception, obviously, of the fake punt to Daxton Hill. That was the turning point of the drive. Michigan appeared to be going 3 and out, and then a fake punt to Hill down the sideline got Michigan well into Army territory, and thanks to a pass interference occurring in the end zone, the Wolverines are able to punch it in thanks to Zach Charbonnet. Charbonnet last week had 8 carries for 90 yards. He now sits at 5 carries for 23 and a touchdown as a true freshman. Once again, a high 4-star out of Camarillo, California, and Oaks Christian High School. He's been as advertised so far.
No doubt, and he's not just a running back. You've seen it on the pass protection, which is probably the hardest thing for a young running back to be able to hold his own at, and that honestly might be where he's the best right now.
So now out comes Jake Moody to do the kickoff. Ball placed on the 35-yard line. He boots this one high and arcing into the air. Army not even really attempting to run these back, as that one does bounce well into the Michigan end zones back down there. The bright blue backgrounds with the yellow or maize lettering. And it'll be a touchback, 1st and 10 Army from the 25-yard line.
So now you see drive number 3 for Army, and they're going to try and string it out as long as they can. Take as much time off the clock as possible. And it's up to Michigan, the defense, to find a way to respond, get the ball back to that offense. And I mean, if you're the Wolverines, they killed you going inside repeatedly, and then busted the big play on the pitch out.
Yeah, they keep going with just 3 down linemen. Nose tackle Carlo Kemp in the middle, and then 2 ends, Hutchinson and Pay. And now it's going to be held by Hopkins. He's going to pitch it off to the side. The ball is loose. It's on the ground. It's picked up by the Wolverines. They're going to run it into the end zone. Touchdown, Michigan. But now the referees, I think, are trying to blow this play dead. I think they're going to say it was a Michigan recovery with a knee down on the 21. Have to see what the official ruling is there, as that ball was firmly run into the end zone, but the referees will have to confer.
Well, and Josh Uche's sole job on that play was to have the quarterback, if he came to his side of the field, and that's exactly what he did. He just straight jumped that gap, and
let's take a look. They say that a knee was down. Trying to take a look. It's tough to tell from that angle on the Jumbotron. The crowd not a big fan. Have to imagine this will be reviewed, as it, in the end, was scooped up and run on in by Josh Metellus. He was on the ground as the pitch was made. He was tangled between 2 Army Black Knights. Let's take a look at this television next to us. No, his knee is not on the ground.
He got up.
Yeah, he was up. That should be
That's
a touchdown for Josh Metellus.
Yep. That should be a touchdown. They got to take a look. They have to. They have to review turnovers anyways.
I would think so. Unless it's a non-reviewable play, which is something that it may be. I know that there is a thing about recoveries on punt returns, because I remember that happened last season. There was a punt fumble that was blown dead immediately, and Michigan couldn't advance it regardless. We'll have to get a clarification on that rule.
That's a punt return rule. If you're just recovering a offensive fumble, then that should not apply.
So now 1st and 10 Michigan. They aren't going to review it. Wolverines take it from the 21-yard line, and Pedersen is stripped again. The ball is loose, and Army has it. That was a blown pass protection there, and just a common strip, as Christian Turner was unable to pick up a blitzer coming from the left side. That's now 3 fumbles in 2 games for Shea Patterson. That one was a lot less his fault.
No, that was...
I mean, that's a vintage strip sack right there.
That was Turner missing a block, whiffing on a block, and, you say, okay, good, Michigan got a turnover, and they have an opportunity to score, so it shouldn't matter about that review either way, but that's a lapse on the officials, and that's a play that might come back to haunt Michigan later. You don't really know right now, but that is an error that has now affected this game in a sizable way.
So here we go. Army gets the ball right back. 10 seconds remaining in the first quarter. They give it up the middle to Connor Slomka. He will pick up a real solid 5-yard gain there, and we will hit 3 zeros on the clock for the first quarter, which will take us to the second quarter.
Yeah,
our score, Michigan 7, Army 7. The crowd booing. It's see if we can pull up.
They're going at the officials right now, but that was a serious error on the officials to not properly review that play.
Yeah.
And if anything, it should have been called a touchdown initially and then gone back to be reviewed for if his knee was down or not. And great play by Army. You can't take anything away from that, right? Great effort, great response after turning the ball over. You send a blitz and you get home, you get the fumble, you recover that. That's phenomenal effort by the Black Knights, but that is a serious problem that the officials committed in this game.
So now, as we wait with the drum line out in the end zone, I'm trying to see if anyone on Twitter has clarified exactly what happened there on that punt fumble.
And so, all things said and done, I guess nothing really changes.
So apparently what people are saying on social media is that if it's called a touchdown on the field, it's reviewable. If it's called down on the field, it isn't.
Right, so.
Which actually I believe.
Makes sense.
I believe that is. Yeah, I'm remembering a Lions playoff game against the Saints a number of years ago where you had a situation like that. Drew Brees had fumbled the ball, and I believe it was Cliff Averill had scooped it up and was running the other way, but they called him down, and on review he wasn't, but then you can't really change it because then it's a continuation and blah, blah, blah.
But I think they should have, that should have been called a touchdown initially anyways.
It makes sense to just call everything a touchdown.
Just go back and take a look. Yeah, if you know, I'm confused. I'm just confused on the situation, but
yeah.
Great response by Army. Like that cannot be understated that Army just gives up a touchdown and the offense fumbles almost immediately, and then you go right and get it back, and you prevent yourself from falling into a terrible hole potentially.
Yeah.
And responding like that, giving yourself just the opportunity to stay even right now and get the ball back at the beginning of the second quarter. That's what response is all about.
So let's take a look at the game recap as we enter the second quarter for those just joining us. Army drive to begin the game began at the 15-minute mark. They got the opening kickoff and went 3 and out. Michigan took over and very quickly drove all the way to the Army 28 on 1st and 10 from that down and distance. Patterson fumbled as Eric Smith came up the middle. That one seemed more on Patterson. Then you have Army take over from there. They go on a 10-play, 60-yard, 5-minute drive to score a touchdown up the middle by Sandon McCoy. Michigan gets the ball back and looks to go 3 and out. Then there is a fake punt down the sideline to Daxton Hill, and shortly after, thanks to a pass interference, Michigan punches it in from 2 yards out. Charbonnet on the score. And then we've just kind of had a rapid-fire situation here where Army fumbles, Michigan recovers. The referees ruled that the knee was down when it very much was not, but it's a non-reviewable play. Michigan takes over, and then you have a busted blitz pickup by Christian Turner. Patterson has someone come from the blind side, a vintage strip sack. And then Army takes back over, a quick 5-yard rush for Connor Slomka, and that's where we stand entering the second quarter.
These blitzes have been at their best when Turner has been in the backfield. He has certainly shown the more lapses in the ability to pick up those blitzes, and it's cost Michigan now. On 2 plays, 2 fumbles that, one very well could have been a touchdown probably for Michigan in a few plays, and the other one ended up in a touchdown for Army. So
here we go, 2nd and 5, and the Army Black Knights go right up the middle with a solid 4-yard pickup down to the 37-yard line. It will now be 3rd and 1. This is where Army wants to be on their drives. We should note that the strip sack by Army was a play made by Elijah Riley, that star corner who is used so frequently as a blitzer, and that's just classic technique, using that arm to tomahawk the ball out from behind. Comes right in where the quarterback holds it, and Pride free. 3rd down and 1 now for Army at the 37-yard line. Hopkins is going to give it off, and flailing forward into the air with Sandon McCoy. He will get the first down with just barely a yard.
Just straight cut blocks from the Army offensive line. Just smaller and faster guys than your typical offensive line, and able to get that pile that they need from the defensive line. 1 yard's all they wanted. 1 yard's what they got.
So 1st and 10 now for Army, as this team led by Jeff Monken, now in his 6th season at Army, 36-28 through this game, as Hopkins will give it off to Slumka, and he gets nothing. He'll gain just over 1 yard as the linebackers came up, and now the ball comes out, and there's going to be a flag on the play, as I think there might have been some pushing or something from one of the two sides as Brad Hawkins was celebrating.
I think Slomka got upset with all the gang tackling.
Yep. Looks like Connor Slomka is going to get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. They don't, or now they do give a number, and that is 25. Connor Slomka, the senior from Wexford, Pennsylvania. That'll be a 15-yard penalty, and because it was after the play, it will be 2nd and 25 instead of redoing the first down, and that's huge.
That just kills an Army drive, because now what are they going to do? Run the triple option, three times now and get 25 yards out of it?
Yeah. They don't gain yards in chunks. I mean, this is the one time you might see an Army pass.
Well, but it almost loses its effectiveness. The reason the Army passes work is because you don't expect them, because they lull you to sleep, and a defensive back just forgets that he's supposed to be covering a receiver as well, and someone's wide open.
So 2nd and 23 officially, as it was 15 yards from the end of the play. That's a solid rush up the middle for about 4 yards. Shannon McCoy trudges forward. McCoy and Slomka get most of the carries up the middle. Slomka was used a lot more last year, 324 yards and 5 touchdowns on 74 carries. McCoy only had 16 carries for 65 yards as Army graduated 5 of their top 7 rushers from a year ago who were at the running back position. Only Slumka and the A-back Kel Walker, who we saw take that really good play down the sideline, are the only 2 main workhorses returning. But Army under Jeff Monken just churns upperclassmen out. As now Hopkins will take the snap on 2nd down, and he'll go right up the middle and quickly met there by the defensive end, Josh Uche, the redshirt junior from Miami, Florida.
Uche's sole job, I think, is to be responsible for Hopkins. Whenever Hopkins runs to his side, his job is just to make sure that he has to turn it back inside.
And that now brings up 4th down and 18, as you mentioned, that penalty just killed the drive, obliterated it. No hope of possibly getting a long down situation, as out comes the punter, Zach Potter, a senior from Indiana. Michigan brings the pressure heavy, but they don't quite get to it. This one is a wobbler and way offline and takes a great bounce. It's going inside the 10. It'll go out of bounds at the 6-yard line. An incredible punt from Zach Potter. And that one, Ronnie Bell really didn't have a chance at it because it was such a diagonal punt.
Yeah, but at the same time, he stopped running.
Yeah.
And, I think he just thought it was going to go right out of bounds. You got to catch the ball in the air if you're a punt returner. You cannot let this. Punters nowadays are just too good.
Yeah.
Right? They're just too good at getting the right spin on the ball and getting it to spin backwards, right? It used to be that punting was pretty undervalued and guys' punts would go all over the place. So if you let it bounce, you never knew where it was going to go. But now you got to catch the ball in the air. Guys are too good, and that was about a 20-yard bounce after all things said. And now Michigan's going to have to work basically the length of the field. So.
Well, and Zach Potter there is a rather traditional punter. I mean, you see those roles, really where they started was the rugby punters when they made their move to football. I mean, everyone remembers a certain punt play from the 2015 Michigan State game. But earlier in that game, Michigan, remember, had Blake O'Neill, who was a rugby punter. In that game, O'Neill had an 80-yard punt that rolled the length of the field.
Great punter,
yeah. And that is sort of where that came from, that rugby delivery that gets the ball rolling. And now you see pretty much every punter adjust to that kind of punting.
Well, and, you saw, like, Michael Dixon at Texas.
Right.
And, heck, Michael Dixon won MVP of a bowl game.
Yeah.
He's a punter. Because of how he flipped the field.
You talk about last year, Michigan State against Ohio State. Drew Chrisman down 5 or 6 punts inside the 10. And that, single-handedly won the game. Because MSU obviously just did not have the offense to recover from such negative field position all the time.
So, special teams is an important part of this game. And we've already seen its impact on this one with, the punt we were just talking about. But obviously the fake punt earlier.
Yeah.
And a couple other times. Some very good punts that have flipped the field, and for Army, if they can win a field position battle, that just gives them that upper hand with their ability to run the triple option. if they can force a punt here and start around the 45 or 40-yard line, then they're in good shape.
So let's take a look now at scores around the Big Ten as 12:02 remaining in the first half. Cincinnati trails Ohio State 7-0 in the early stages of the second quarter. Cincy has the ball in the Ohio State red zone, though. That's a pretty interesting game, given Luke Fickell's familiarity with Ohio State.
Yep, the connections to it.
Iowa still up only 7-0 over Rutgers, but Maryland now up 21-7 on Syracuse. That's a Maryland team that scored 79 points on Howard last week. New head coach Mike Loxley. Some offense right now coming from the Terps.
Well, and Maryland's been able to recruit pretty good athletes in recent years, right?
So Anthony McFarland was an all-Big Ten running back, and they get Josh Jackson here from Virginia Tech. He was a high school player, won a state title at Saline High School here in Washtenaw County. His father, Fred Jackson, was the running backs coach at the University of Michigan under Lloyd Carr. So out they come, 1st and 10 from the Michigan 6. Patterson gives it off to Charbonnet there, and he picks up a solid 4 yards to the 10-yard line. 2nd and 6.
A little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, it's got to get out of the shadow of your own goal line. Total yards as we start this drive, 102 for the Wolverines, 68 for Army, but a couple turnovers have plagued the Michigan offense today. Patterson in the shotgun, 3 wide receivers, and he will give it off up the middle again, rumbling forward there, Charbonnet, and he will pick up the first down.
The runs just look different this year. I mean, even through just 2 games, just looks so different than the runs from last year. Just the entire style to them and the change of pace that they bring. Just feel like they have a different element to them.
Well, they're going in the shotgun on pretty much every play. We've seen 1 under center snap so far in this contest. Patterson to take the shotgun snap. He will give it off to Charbonnet, who gains maybe a yard, and now we're going to have a flag come in. Look like a potential holding penalty.
In that area.
And that is a hold on Michigan number 76. That's Ryan Hayes, who's starting his 2nd straight week. Runyon was ready for this game, but appeared he just did not play. They didn't feel like they needed to expose him to some of the low hitting that Army involves on both sides of the ball.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's
save him for Wisconsin in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. Going to have to be ready to go for that one.
And Ryan Hayes was one of the highest graded players according to Michigan. They said this during the week that he graded out as one of the top performers on offense last week against Middle Tennessee, but now a little more up and down here today with the blitz pickups and now that holding penalty backs Michigan up to the 9-yard line, 1st and 18. And they are just going to give it to Charbonnet. He bounces off a couple tacklers, still going forward, and he'll go out to the 19, a solid 10-yard run. And you just see the power of the 6'1", 220-pound running back up against linebackers who are basically his size.
And it's a great push by the offensive line as well. I mean, Patterson's exposing the ball for quite a long time on an exchange like that one, and you got to keep the defensive front out of the backfield, able to do so, and they basically get that holding call back.
Yeah, so now 2nd down and 7. They're in actually better situation they would have been without it as they were facing. Now Patterson drops back. He's going to fire onto the sideline route. Caught there by Nico Collins. He'll go up the sideline and out of bounds. We'll see where they mark him. They say his foot went out at the 34. That's a 14-yard pickup and a Michigan 1st down, and now finally out of the shadow of their own goal line.
A good quick little pass, but that play is possible because once again Charbonnet picking up a blitz, very similar blitz to the one that resulted in a fumble possession ago, and did it phenomenally. Patterson able to turn and make the throw. 1st down.
So now we've got some substitutions and a little bit of confusion going on. Cornelius Johnson, the freshman wide receiver, thought he was supposed to be on the field. Instead, it's the other freshman, Mike St. Ristel, and Patterson will just give it off, a ball up the middle, and I think the ball came out, and I'm not sure who recovered. Army recovers the fumble. Ben Van Sumeren coughs it up, and the Black Knights take over on the Michigan 41-yard line.
Yeah, they have to give Charbonnet a break at some point, and they go with the 3rd-string guys, Van Sumeren, and ball security, an issue for Michigan, and Army's hanging around.
Yeah, it looks like Cole Christensen, the senior captain from Suffolk, Virginia, is the one who ripped that one out. And the interesting fact about Van Sumeren that I learned in researching the season was that he has slept with a football every day since he was in middle school after fumbling in middle school football. I mean, this is a guy who prides himself, a freshman or redshirt freshman from Essexville, Michigan. He prides himself on ball security and coughing it up there. That's the third fumble, the third turnover for Michigan in this game. Still 7-7, 9:37 to go in the first half.
Yeah, this is Army's best opportunity to capitalize, too. You get the ball in plus territory here. But to your point about Van Sumeren, it's like, and if you're going to do that, man, the first hit you take in the game, you're going to cough it up. But
well, and the thing about that was it was not a conventional strip. It wasn't just punched out. It looked like he was just like this.
Got hit.
And they were just
got hit by
jigging him.
It's a football play.
So the ball comes out. Christensen is able to force that fumble. And now the Army offense will go back out there. They've had 3 drives, 1 3-and-out, 1 long touchdown drive, and then obviously a fumble, and then the most recent drive destroyed by a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that forced a rather quick punt. At this point in the game, if you take a look at the comparison stats, Michigan 144 yards of offense, Army 79. Michigan 98 passing yards to Army 0. Army has not yet attempted a pass in this game, and we're not sure we're going to see one anytime soon.
When they do, they'll probably score a touchdown off it. Just kind of the way that triple option passing goes. Home run or bust.
So we've got a comment in our YouTube live chat.
Oh, boy.
It says Lucas Tony Romo Vargas.
That's the username.
So it'll be 1st and 10 Army from the 40-yard line. This is, as we mentioned earlier in the game, the 10th all-time meeting between these teams, season or all-time series 5-4 in favor of Army. The first meeting in 1945. You know where that game took place?
Yankee Stadium, right?
Yankee Stadium, yep. That was Fritz Chrysler in his early days at Michigan, and in that era, Army was the #1 team in the country because
they were a powerhouse because the guys didn't have to go overseas, right, for the war if they went to Army.
Yep. So they were able to recruit anybody they wanted, and that game was actually tied 7-7 entering the fourth quarter, which was a huge achievement for Fritz Chrysler's Wolverines as the first down carry to Connor Slomka goes up the middle for 3.5 yards to the Wolverine 36.5 as Ross and Uche bring him down.
Yeah, that's right. Back then, with the military draft in place,
yeah,
it was safer for you to go to Army because then you didn't have to go overseas and you could still play football. So they were powerhouse, right? They had 2 Heisman winners, didn't they?
Yes, they had 2 Heisman winners on the same team. And Fritz Chrysler's Michigan Wolverines were all 17-year-olds because anyone over 18 was being drafted. So World War II college football history right there. 2nd down and 6. Kelvin Hopkins gives it up the middle, and that one goes really nowhere. A mosh pit just past the 35-yard line, and now it will be 3rd and medium. 4 down territory, quite obviously, at the Michigan 34-yard line for Army.
Yep, and Army just wants half of it right now. That's all I need is half of it.
Yep.
Michigan's got to find a way to really stop them for no gain here.
Under center is Hopkins. He's got the standard triple option formation ready to roll, and he's going to just pitch it to the side. That one's loose on the ground. Who's got it? It looks like Army got it back as that ball was pitched from Hopkins, and then some guys got tackled around, and the ball became loose on the ground. Now it'll be 4th down and 5 as Army loses a yard on that play.
I'm telling you, man, Josh Uche is doing a heck of a job with the assignment he's been given by the coaching staff just to be responsible for Hopkins when he comes to his side and turn him inside. That was Uche doing his job, meeting the quarterback and causing a fumble. No gain on the play, which is what I said they needed to do.
Looks like
4th and 5 here.
Yeah, 4th and 5, Army going for it. That fumble by Hopkins was recovered by Artis Hobbs, the 4th. 4th down and 5, under center is Hopkins, and he is going to drop back to try and pass. He gets hit hard down the field. There's a bunch of flags that come out, and it looks like maybe a defensive holding would be my guess where they came out from, as Hopkins got just destroyed on a blitzer coming up the middle, and 2 flags. Both referees saw whatever it was.
Defensive holding, I think.
That would be the area that you would normally expect it. As we wait for this call with 7:35 remaining.
Yeah, they got Hill.
Yep, it is a defensive holding on number 24, Levert Hill, star All-American corner for the Wolverines.
Well, and that's something that the Army receivers do very well, is obviously coach so well as blockers, the good, fake stock block and go for a pass, and sometimes they're able to get the defensive back to bite on it and engage with them, and then on the release, the defensive back will hold, and the receiver is able to draw a penalty there. It's an effective way to move down the field, and Army converting a 4th down.
So a 10-yard penalty moves the Black Knights up to the 25-yard line of Michigan. Looked like Michigan had a chance to get off the field there. That's now 4 penalties for 26 yards. And now a flag comes out, or right before that, Army was able to call a timeout. That's now the 2nd timeout used by Monken. As we're watching on the replay, I'm not sure they got that call right. I think that was Kalik Hudson. I mean, it looked like there was a little bit of pushing with Levert Hill, but it really looked like it was Kalik Hudson that grabbed number 32, Artis Hobbs, the 4th. But regardless, 1st and 10, Black Knights on the 25-yard line.
Now a timeout with Army knocking on the door right around the Michigan 25-yard line. And the Michigan defense has to find a way to dig deep and acknowledge the fact that they're going to have to win some battles here in the trenches. That Army's going to keep bringing it all day long like this, and they can't be sloppy on either side of the ball. But it's not been the cleanest game for Michigan all around, and they've got to find a way to you take advantage of this timeout, settle down, and know that it's going to take four downs to get the Army offense off the field.
Ohio State has now finally gotten another touchdown to lead that one 14-0, as Cincy missed a 32-yard field goal. And very quickly, Ohio State able to come back and score. They now are up 2 scores with under 10 minutes to go in that one. And now Maryland has put up another touchdown on Syracuse to lead 28-7 on the number 21 ranked Syracuse Orange.
And you look at Clemson in the ACC, and they play Texas A&M tonight. Could be a pretty good game.
Yeah.
To be determined on that one, but Syracuse is arguably their next toughest opponent.
Yeah.
So, if Maryland is really handling Syracuse like this right now, then the ACC is just a complete dumpster fire right now, and knowing that that's basically Clemson's best competition in that conference is kind of hard to think about, really.
As we get ready for the timeouts to break, the interesting thing is that Donovan Jeter was warming up with the ones in the pre-game warm-ups, but we haven't seen him at all this game because Michigan has gone with that 3-man front on every play. And it only involves one defensive tackle.
Yeah, and Carlo Kemp and Ben Mason really been the guys that primarily involved with that one.
I mean, it's mostly been Kemp almost every play. And then they've rotated the edge rushers. Normally Aiden Hutchinson out there, but you've seen Uche out quite a bit from the linebacker position, normally playing from a stand-up rather than a hand in the dirt. 7:35 to go in the first half. Army 7, Michigan 7. Hopkins under center, and he will give it off right up the middle, and a good hearty gain for Connor Slomka to the 21-yard line. A gain of 4, as Army will continue to bleed the clock. Jordan Glasgow, one of the tacklers there. Reminder that Michigan will get the ball to begin the second half.
Yeah, I mean, this one's looking just really like the Oklahoma game from last year, where Army's just able to slow the game down so much and get the turnovers they need and keep it close right now.
And now Hopkins does give that one off, but really no push at all. Connor Slomka again rushing, and he picks up maybe 2 yards. That's now 13 rushes for Slomka. No one else has more than 4. Still no official pass plays for Army, as the one they tried was nullified by a penalty. Third down and 4, 6:30 remaining in the first half. You mentioned that game a year ago that Army went to overtime in Norman with the Sooners. The final score in that one was 28-21.
I think Oklahoma had 7 possessions before overtime.
Yes. Under center is Hopkins, and he takes the snap. He's going to try and go around some guys, and he obviously will be stopped short after picking up just 2, and now 4th down and 2. I mean, we don't even really expect them to get the first down on a 3rd and short. We just expect them to get a couple yards. They just
won half of it. That's
all
they want.
That's all they want.
Cut it in half.
So now 4th and 2, and Army, of course, will be going for it.
That was a good job, though, by Josh Metellus to squeeze down to the line of scrimmage and then make the play turn back upfield. And now 4th and 2, this is where the Michigan defense has to find a way to hold 2 yards. You know, you got to hold 2 yards against Army if you want to have the respect of the defenses from the past couple years.
So here we go, 4th and 2. Hopkins kept the ball that time, and now he's going to call another timeout. With the noise in this stadium, Jeff Monken will burn his final timeout at 5:27 remaining in the first half.
And the fans are just dying for something to cheer for. They just want to explode.
Well, you look at Army, I mean, they play in a pretty small stadium, and they play a lot of teams that are also pretty small teams as well. I mean, you look at the remainder of their schedule, road games, UTSA, Western Kentucky, Georgia State, Air Force, Hawaii. I mean, none of those are big stadiums. This is the outlier on their schedule in terms of intimidating environments.
It's a heck of an opportunity for Army to come to play teams like this as an independent. They can obviously play their schedule a little bit more than most teams, and it's a heck of an opportunity for guys that go to play football at Army to come play at a school like Michigan. And you know, obviously this is really the end of the line for their football careers after their time at Army. So to get an opportunity like this and to really compete at a high level too, I mean, they are holding their own for sure before they go and serve their country, do something really, really outstanding. Got a lot of respect for the troops over there and what they do, and it's got to be special for those guys to get to come over here and have the ovations and all that stuff too.
We talk about Army home stadium, 23,000 in week 1 last week against Rice. This well over 100,000, so a big change of pace. For clarification, Oklahoma had 8 possessions last year, 7 of them in overtime, and now we've got a marriage proposal going down in the end zone as a soldier returning from combat to be greeted with his family proposes on the goal line. Wow. And by the looks of it, it was accepted.
Well, there's an experience.
The student section, it's right in front of the student section there.
It's electric.
Going wild.
It's electric.
As both individuals sharing an intimate embrace, and now hugging the parents who are standing right behind there. Wow. As we wait for this 4th down and 2 play. That was the hometown hero of the game. And now
4th down.
That soldier trying to fire up the Michigan crowd. He appears to be a Michigan man, not really into the Black Knights.
Maybe he was an ROTC member.
4th down and 2. Now he's shaking hands with people in the student section.
Guy's loving it, man.
Yeah.
Soak it up.
A guy from Army coming in to cheer against Army has got to be like someone from Michigan cheering against Michigan. I don't know. Hopkins under center now. He steps back out to make a few adjustments. 15 on the play clock. 4th down and 2 from the Michigan 17-yard line. Army trying to trudge forward for the lead in this game. They're going to give it off up the middle, and they get the first down. Connor Slomka to the 14-yard line. And a first down there as we tick down under 5:25. Clock stops to reset the chains. Looks like Jordan, Glasgow, Quiddy Pay were all there and just able to push ahead for the first down.
I think we got a Donovan Jeter sighting now, right? Number 95?
Yes.
Checks in.
Yeah, now it is finally a 2 defensive tackle front Jeter
put Uche's hand in the dirt.
Kemp, and now Uche, yeah, he's playing a down lineman position. Aiden Hutchinson on the left side. Hopkins is able to get a nice amount of room, and he's able to pick up about 4 yards down to the 10.5, give or take. Kalik Hudson on the tackle. Kelvin Hopkins, I think, is very reminiscent of J.T. Barrett in the way that he is just so hard to bring down.
Yeah, he's so strong, and he's looking to run you over almost, not necessarily just skirt by you.
5'10", 205 pounds, a senior from Charlotte, North Carolina, is Kelvin Hopkins. They've now got 2nd and 6 from the 10.
And Jeter only lasted one play in there. Back to the 3-down look.
And Hopkins will keep it himself. We'll see if he makes a pitch. He does not. He trudges forward, down just shy of the first down, tackled at the 5. It'll be 3rd and 1. Levert Hill bringing him down, as well as Aiden Hutchinson. 3rd and 1, they're going to make a substitution. Looks like Slomka coming off and Sandon McCoy coming on. Under 4 minutes remaining in the first half. Army 7, Michigan 7. Michigan's turned the ball over 3 times in this first half, all of them fumbles. Army's only turned it over once. Hopkins under center. He's going to give it off to Sandon McCoy. He trudges forward for the first down, now spins on his back, and he will be down at the 1-yard line. Army now over 100 yards of offense in this first half.
All on the ground.
Yep. First and goal from the 1, 3:25 remaining in the first half. Now they immediately substitute McCoy back off, Slomka back on at that fullback position.
I mean, I don't know why they would really go away from it. They've been getting a consistent 2-3 yard push almost every play on the fullback dive. That's probably what they're going to do.
First and goal from the 1. It looks like it's going to be the quarterback sneak. Does he have enough room? Let's take a look. It sure looks like it, but no signal from the referees as the mosh pit move forward. They have to find where he is in the pile. And now they blow the clock dead, and now there's the signal. Touchdown, Army.
I thought that was almost an illegal forward shift. If you go back and look at the replay here, the Slomka basically bear crawled forward before the snap, knowing that he was going to push in Hopkins.
Yep.
I'm surprised they didn't get that as an illegal forward shift, but nonetheless, Army with a touchdown. I like the swing and gate look they line up with initially off the extra point. They're going to review.
And now we have play under further review. I don't really know how you can
overturn that.
Yes. Make a determination one way or the other. I mean, he's just surrounded by guys in a dog pile in the end zone. And, you know, the big play of that drive, if we look back in time, was really the pass interference on 4th and 5. Army forced to throw the ball, and the one attempt of the entire first half, and Michigan has 2 dependable senior defensive backs commit penalties. It's just been a mistake-ridden first half for Michigan, but they'll have an opportunity to tie the game before halftime, it would appear.
Much like last week, we'll get a chance to see what Michigan can do in, seemingly short time.
Yeah. But with all 3 timeouts, of course.
Well, I remember talking about that last week, obviously, why they spiked the ball one play instead of call a timeout. And one of the reviews had shown that one of the catches caught looked like it might have hit the ground. And so I think they were racing up to the line of scrimmage just to get a play in instead of allow for a review.
Yeah.
So I think that might have answered our question from a week ago. But
yes.
See what it looks like.
Yeah, Michigan has all 3 timeouts for this upcoming 2-minute drill as Army gets ready to do their extra point. They always do it.
The swinging gate.
The swinging gate. As the kicker, Talley, is ready to boot this one through. Zach Potter, the holder, snap out, and the kick is another wobbler, but it goes through. And it is 14-7. Army on top. Michigan outgaining Army pretty substantially, but Army only 1 turnover to Michigan's 3.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Michigan offenses look good today.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about that, right? It just looked like a good offense, but you cannot turn the ball over and expect to, win football games. And
if Michigan can get to a tie going into the half, having turned it over 3 times, that's a win.
Yeah. You got to take care of the football, and especially where they're turning the ball over, and the situations, especially the first fumble comes deep in Army territory. Army goes down and capitalizes. The next turnover is once again deep in Army, even further into Army territory after a Army turnover.
Yep.
Even at that, you can't give that away. And then obviously this last one is in Michigan territory around the 40, and Army has a short field to work with. They've been running the ball successfully all day. They go down and score, and Army has looked so much better this week than they did against Rice.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that too, but.
So here we go.
Better game.
2:51 remaining in the first half. The kicker tally will do the deep boot. Out back is Giles Jackson standing in the right corner as the ball is placed just inside the right hash. Tally ready to run up and deliver this one away. It's a high arcing kick, and it will land right about the 2-yard line, and Giles Jackson is going to run it out. He is cutting across the field. He's at the 20, and now he's tripped up, brought down at about the 22 or 23-yard line. So really not much difference than what the fair catch would have been. 2:46 on the clock. We'll see what the Michigan offense can do. Patterson in this game, 7 for 10, 73 yards. Obviously, Michael Barrett, 1 for 1, having thrown that fake punt ball to Daxton Hill.
It's a good-looking pass from Barrett, too.
Well, he was a high school quarterback.
That's right.
Converted
That's
first
right.
to running back and then to linebacker after coming to Michigan.
That's right.
7 receivers have a catch in this game. Only Tariq Black has 2. Michigan just hasn't been able to attempt many passes. Patterson all day to throw. Now the pocket collapses. He's going to run it himself, and he's got close to a first down where he slides short at the 29, picking up 6. But now you got to work with tempo.
Well, Tariq Black's some good blocking downfield, but he blocked Elijah Riley right into where Patterson was trying to run. So
yeah,
Patterson had to get down earlier than he was expecting to.
It seemed like he could have cut and looped around the edge. Patterson drops back. It's going to be a screen. They throw underneath. Got it complete. That's going to, or looked like it was going to be a first down, and now running backwards on a rather confusing play was Ronnie Bell, and now it'll be 3rd and 1.
It's a good screen setup, but you can't run back to where the defense is. All the defense got stranded on
looks like
the left side of the offensive formation. You can't run back to that.
3rd and 1, and they are going to give it to Charbonnet. He's not going to get it. Brought down at the 31.5-yard line. The Army Black Knight defense with a huge stop. And now an interesting situation, and it looks like Michigan's going to go for it.
Well, Army's probably not going to strike quickly on offense, so might as well.
And they run it quickly, and up the middle is Charbonnet pushing forward, and I think he got it.
They got the 12 men on the field call, though. Army didn't sub fast enough, so no matter what, they got to the line fast enough and got the play in.
Yeah, that's better known as the Aaron Rodgers, trying to get that snap off before the substitution, and it will be a Michigan first down is the expectation once the referees.
They're talking about the 12-man, yeah.
Yeah. So a 5-yard penalty. Michigan will accept it rather than the 2-yard gain.
The clock should stop too, probably.
Yep. So 1 minute and 31 seconds. And Michigan's going to have to move a little faster here.
As you mentioned, 3 timeouts, though. So
1st and 10 on the 37-yard line. Under 90 seconds remaining. Patterson gets ready to take the snap. He's got a running back to his right and falling down with Cesar Ruiz.
So the rare false start on the center.
It's Humpty Dumpty had a fall right there. I don't know what to say about that. The center just kind of tipped over.
Ruiz got faked out.
Yeah.
That was a nice shift by the Army D-line. That was really, really nice. Well timed, too.
So now 1st down and 15 from the 32-yard line.
Try and do it again.
Patterson takes the snap. Pressure comes off the edge. He's got to get rid of it, and he does complete over the middle to Sean McCune. That's a nice pickup after a confident tackle there from number 20, Cam Jones, sort of a linebacker safety hybrid player, a senior from Georgia. Now under a minute to go. Michigan's got to start running some plays in quicker time. They're going to get this one off after only 15 seconds. Comes off the play clock, though. Patterson drops back. Now he's going to try and tuck it and run, and he's going to come up short. And Harbaugh finally uses one of his 3 timeouts. Patterson has been very quick to bail the pockets on these last couple drives.
Well,
obviously concern coming from that edge. Ryan Hayes has looked pretty shaky on the left side right now.
Well, and I think another thing for Patterson is, you get hit on 2 fumbles, and you turn the ball over. Your internal clock goes a lot faster. You're not sitting back there taking your time. You're always wondering, okay, who's not being blocked right now, and who's coming to get the ball out of my hand, and it speeds you up. And he knows another blitz is going to come one way or another, so he's panicking sometimes.
Well, one of the interesting things in this game is we have seen no quarterback arc keeper plays, which is sort of, Michigan was running that quite a bit last week.
No McCaffrey yet.
Yeah, under McCaffrey. Patterson was never keeping it. McCaffrey was doing it pretty much every play. And you think about it, at the end of last year, Michigan was running that frequently, and there's been none of that concept today. I don't know if Patterson is scared of incurring an injury or what exactly his concern is. 3rd down and 2 as the stadium jumbotron had a malfunction there. They give it off to Charbonnet. He's got a big hole past the 50, and he'll be brought down right there as he was unable to turn the corner, but he gets a solid 5-yard pickup. Clock stops to reset the chains, and Michigan's got to hurry. 40 seconds remaining.
It's a great tackle by Bordeaux.
Yeah, now in the situation, he's going to clap his hands, and now another false start on Michigan. And I don't know what the problem is, because what Shea is doing, he's clapping his hands and the ball isn't coming. I'm not sure if it's a 2-clap snap count or what exactly is supposed to be going on there.
I'm not sure why you're trying to go on 2 on a hurry-up offense, though.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make much sense.
And now, we haven't heard anything from the referees yet, and the referees aren't moving backwards. Now they are.
This game looks weird. This is a weird game.
Well, Michigan at 33 seconds remaining and 2 timeouts. Michigan will have to use 1 to avoid the 10-second runoff.
Right.
They've got plenty of time to get into field goal range, and obviously very strong legs of Jake Moody and Quinn Nordine, but you would have liked a more explosive drive here.
Yeah, it seems like they've been doing fine all up until this point, and now they're just kind of playing patty cake right now, and committing silly penalties and things of that nature, and someone's got to take ownership and right the ship.
So now they get ready to come out. 1 timeout, and obviously again you get the clock stops to reset the chains every time you do get a first down. We saw a lot of 4 verts against Middle Tennessee. We haven't seen that at all here today.
Right.
Michigan is a lot more conservative, even though the offense is still, 171 yards, closing in on 200 for a first half in which you really didn't have the ball much. It's been pretty well executed. This drive, a little curious. 1st and 15 from the 45-yard line. Patterson drops back. Army brings their trademark blitz. Patterson going to bail again, and he throws at the feet of Sean McCune, and you just see almost a timer inside Patterson's head, bailing on almost every drop back.
Yeah, and he got hit on the throw by Riley, who had blitz. Army did send a heavy blitz, and McKeon was open, but just so rushed.
I think what it has really looked like is Army's bringing a heavy blitz, and if Patterson sees the blitz, he gets nervous regardless of whether it's actually coming. He's going to drop back, fire over the middle. Got a man complete. It's Sean McCune down to the 32 or 33-yard line. 22 seconds remaining. Michigan is going to have to hurry up in a hurry. We'll see when the clock starts officially running. No referee signal yet. Now they do roll it. Patterson claps, gets the snap. He's going to drop back at just outside the 40-yard line. He's got to get rid of it. Throws underneath, complete. And McCune is able to get out of bounds to stop the clock with 12 seconds remaining down to the 27-yard line.
On the previous catch to McCune, you saw that 4 vertical look you alluded to, Alex, and finally able to move the ball down the field.
Yeah.
And now a little screen to Charbonnet. With 12 seconds left, you do have 1 timeout left, so you can probably run 1 or 2 more plays if you're careful about them. and try and score a touchdown before you have to settle for a field goal.
Definitely move yourself into a better field goal range. This would be a 45-yarder from where it is right now. Patterson drops back. He's going to throw, and it looked like Eubanks was interfered from behind. The referees, no signal. And now 8 seconds left. You probably only have one play here on 3rd down and 4.
Yeah, one play regardless.
Yeah, you'd like it maybe 10-yard pickup right here.
And that one was more of a penalty than some of the other pass interferences
that one
today.
Was obvious. Elijah Riley reaching around there and interfering with Eubanks. Michigan has that timeout in their back pocket, so they can use the entire field. They just got to get it out quick.
Right. Right, and you cannot drag this play out longer than it needs to be. You gotta make a quick decision.
And Patterson is going to keep it himself, and he's going to run backwards. He throws it up in the air, and that's going to be an intentional grounding that will back Michigan up to the 50-plus yard field goal range, as he was wrapped up being half sacked there as he chose not to keep it. A bizarre decision. I mean, it seemed pretty obvious to give it up the middle with 2 men off the edge.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what the thought process was on that play.
And now we'll see if they do, in fact, enforce intentional grounding. If they do, get out Quinn Nordine, and they do.
Yeah, an obvious intentional grounding.
Yep. So now it'll be a 50-plus yard field goal, 2 seconds on the clock as Michigan will use their timeout to avoid the 10-second runoff.
Correct.
And now they'll bring out the great leg of Quinn Nordine. We've seen him make multiple 50-plus yarders in his career, so this is nothing new. And really one of the odd things about all of this, and that play in particular, is that Patterson not keeping these arc read plays, is that was maybe his best trait of all last season. I mean, he had gotten so good on those where he was faking out the cameraman.
Yeah.
And now this year, I don't know.
It's almost like he's overthinking it now.
Yeah.
Like it almost seems like last year he was just doing what was naturally, deceptive or what naturally would have been the way to go with it. And now though, he's just overthinking it. It looks like there's so many things going on in his head that he's trying to process. He's just not able to do it fast enough.
So they put this snap. They're going to have the snap from the 37, the hold at the 45. This will be a 55-yarder. For Quinn Nordine, I believe his career long is 56. This is in his range. Not a ton of wind. Snap out. Nordine's kick is on the way, and it is no good. Wide to the right. Looked off the whole way. And our score going into halftime, Army 14, Michigan 7. And this Michigan team is being booed off the field here at Michigan Stadium. A curious first half, to say the least.
Yeah, tough time to be.
Well, let's take a look at the game recap now as we enter this halftime. 189 total yards for Michigan, 109 for Army, but Army with the 14-7 lead due mostly in part 3 Michigan turnovers, just 1 for Army. And that's kind of been the story so far. Patterson finishes the half 11 for 16, 117 yards, no touchdowns and no interceptions. I mean, I think the biggest bright spot for Michigan there was Zach Charbonnet at 50 yards on 10 carries.
Yeah, he definitely has almost looked like the most poised player at times on the offense. And Michigan has had their moments where they've looked good in this game. They really have. They have moved the ball at times, but they've either stalled out or turned the ball over, done something that just doesn't make sense. And it's punished them to only have 7 points now at half. And Army has done a great job. I mean, you know what you're going to get at Army, right? They're going to be disciplined. They're going to be poised. They're going to get their job done. And they've done all those things right now that have really resulted in them being ahead at the half, 14-7. Army's a good team. We all knew that. Everybody knew that coming into this game, especially with the way they played last year. Army hasn't lost a game in 14.
Yeah.
Right? So they know what it takes to win. They have, like you said, a lot of upperclassmen that they really rely on. And Michigan does have a young team, but they have got to find ways to execute. That's what it comes down to at this point. It's execution and just getting your job done, because simply put, they haven't really been doing that on either side of the ball, especially there at the end of the second quarter.
Well, if you look at the drive chart for Michigan, they had 5 possessions in that half. Here's their drive chart. Fumble, touchdown, fumble, fumble, missed field goal. They have not punted yet this game. So it's really just a bizarre, but that's what happens when you play Army. And you schedule a team like Army at your own risk.
Yep, 5 possessions in this game, as you mentioned, and I mean, you probably had chances to score points on all 5 of those drives.
Yeah.
Like, if you're being realistic about it, right? You've had legit chances to score points on all 5 of your offensive drives, and I wouldn't even say it's Army that's necessarily, been the difference in that. I mean, obviously Army has done a great job forcing turnovers and whatnot, but I mean, the Michigan offense has just had those mental lapses that have resulted in the end of those drives, whether it be the turnovers or the penalties or, trying to pull a read option with 8 seconds left and then getting intentional grounding for the penalty. So
now we have the band out there to do the halftime show. You look at Army's drive chart: punt, touchdown, fumble, punt, touchdown, and then obviously then going to halftime. So it's a pretty conventional drive chart, and really that second touchdown, Michigan was going to get off the field if they don't interfere with the receivers. I mean, you should not be interfering on a team that really doesn't throw much at all, but that is sort of the greatness of the play action and the way that Army sets everything up. And it's really, a lot of mental errors, too. I mean, you have the 3 fumbles for Michigan, but you also have a false start on Cesar Ruiz. You have a false start on Ben Bredesen. Those are senior leaders of this team. You have Patterson, who has been all over the place in terms of decision-making. So it is a lot of guys you don't expect to be making the mistakes.
Yeah, and, as I think we started off with saying Charbonnet is probably the most impressive guy in the first half for Michigan, is like the young guys have been doing a good job, probably. I think most people would agree with that, like adjusting to their roles. But yeah, the experienced guys that have been here for a while need to get their act together if they want to be as successful as they say they want to be.
Yeah. So a lot to talk about in halftime for the Michigan coaching staff. And this is a game that they said that they were expecting to play Army for a long time. They've been practicing for this, and I don't think the defensive approach has been particularly bad.
No.
Army's just over 100 yards, and Army got the ball 5 times. You caught him off the field 3 of those 5 times. That's what you ask for if you're a defense. And one of those touchdowns, obviously, a short field.
Right.
So.
Right. But, I mean, as we've said, credit to Army. They've been extremely resilient in this game. When a play has not gone their way, they've bounced back immediately and done what they need to do to hold their own. And they have the lead as a result of it, 14-7 here at halftime.
Well, Michigan will come out in the second half, and they will start with the football. That feels like a monumental drive.
It's the drive that's going to set the tone for the second half. If they come out and go 3 and out, they probably will lose this game. Honestly, they will lose all confidence in themselves if they have a bad drive, and they need to come out with a sense of urgency. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is a sense of urgency and a sense of attention to detail that has been lacking, and you've got to have a sense of urgency to get your job done and do it in a way that is with great effort and great intensity on the football field, and we just haven't seen that at all times from the Wolverines.
Well, and another factor to watch in the second half is what does the defensive front for Michigan look like? Because you saw Michigan really relying on 3 down linemen, 2 of which are defensive ends. Mm-hmm. And a team like Army, I mean, that it's just a very odd approach. I mean, there's really no perfect front against a team like Army because they don't try to block you. They try to just cut you out.
Yep.
Michigan had 0 tackles for loss in the first half, but that's not unexpected given the way Army plays.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard. I mean, usually the best you're going to do with Army is like a 0 or 1 yard gain.
Yeah. Especially because we pretty much mostly saw either QB keepers to the side or fullback dives. That was pretty much every play. You had the one A-back pitch that got the big yards down the sideline leading to the first touchdown. Outside of that, though, it was pretty much all fullback dives or QB keepers, and that's, you know what they're going to do. It is hard to stop, but again, Michigan got off the field 3 times on defense.
Yep, and I don't think that the defensive approach has been bad by any means. I think it's been a good plan, good strategy, but just, like we talked about, also getting off the field like that one penalty, right? Like you can't commit that penalty.
Yeah.
And if you don't commit that penalty, then we're in a tie ball game right now. But really, just that first drive that Army scored on. I mean, that was just Army manhandling the defensive front. But otherwise, I think that you've gotten about what you'd expect out of the Wolverines, and Army's just kept fighting, kept competing, and Army. You just look at their philosophy. They've obviously created a program now that believes that they can win any game they're in, and I think it even goes back to, reading through this media guide, they have these things, these class mottos that each class makes, and you go through some of these ones. The 2021 is with vision we lead, so upperclassmen that are trying to lead the way, and so upperclassmen certainly have done that in this game. 2021 until the battle is won, and they're fighting right now, and they're leading the battle at the moment. 2022 for many, stand the few, and obviously they represent the whole armed forces out here. And then 2023, the freedom is not free, just more of a general tribute to the military. But that just shows the mindset of this team. It's a very obviously not just team-driven approach, but brotherhood and all those things that the Army stands for.
Yeah, they are a team, again, we talked about, they play a lot of upperclassmen, and that's because they pride themselves on playing a system. They need guys who are smart enough to understand how the system is going to work. They have to be groomed to play the way that this team does.
And even most of the time when you go to one of the service academies, then you'll play a year at almost like a, I don't want to really say this wrong, like a prep school or a JV kind of team.
Yeah, U.S. Maps.
Yep. So you'll play for it's basically a JV team is what it is for your first year, and that's a redshirt year as well for you. So it doesn't count against your eligibility. So a lot of these seniors are going to be fifth-year players basically.
Yeah.
That are out there.
If you go down the Army roster, pretty much everybody was a U.S. Maps guy. I sort of stopped putting them down on our spotting boards because it was almost everybody.
Yep. It's very, very rare for you to go into a military academy and play as a freshman.
Yeah.
At any sport. I mean, even basketball, you'll go do something like that.
We have another comment in the live chat. Okay, Lucas, get out there. You're the QB now.
Well, glad to know people are listening.
We now got a big flag being brought out and presented at midfield. Just about ready to hand it over now to our reinforcements to do the second half. Is ticked down just about 10.5 minutes until the start of the second half of action. Once again, Michigan will get the ball to begin the second half. Army 14, Michigan 7. Any last thoughts?
Just interested to see the mindset they come out of halftime with. That's really it for me. Is I want to see what it looks like coming out of halftime, and I just want to see them play, play the way that we expected. You know, just take care of the football, execute, and they should be fine. I don't think they need to panic or anything, but Michigan's just got to find a way to get the job done. And Army has come in here with a great game plan, and they've executed really well. They've fought really hard, and if Army continues to do that, then they're going to win the football game.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. These are two teams that are good and competing against each other, and this game could very well come down to the end.
One team has definitely been smarter and cleaner, and that just about does it for us. Once again, 14-7, Army on top, and now we give it over to Daniel Thompson.
Thank you, Alex and Lucas, for delivering that first half broadcast. As Lucas was just saying, this is a good Army team. They were, I believe, 29th in the AP poll if you go to the others receiving votes section of the poll. a pushover by no means, and not a team you want to be down 7 at halftime against. It's not quite the same situation as when you see a bizarre score at halftime around the country where perhaps a team like Middle Tennessee State is leading a Power 5 team by 7. This is a good Army team, an Army team that could win a few games in the Big Ten if they played a Big Ten schedule. So we are now at 9 minutes to go until kickoff in the second half. Remember, of course, Michigan will start the drive, a drive that will feel very imperative for winning this game, as Alex Shee now joins us here with 8.5 to go till the second half. Alex, want to give us your thoughts on that first half of play?
Well, Daniel, I'd love to give you my thoughts. I'm not going to be able to give you my whole thoughts because this
I don't think anyone can fit it in,
family-friendly broadcast, but yikes. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, Michigan had so much promise going into this year, and I don't want to be a total pessimist and say, oh, it's over, we're not even being Army at halftime. But, I mean, the promise that came in, Josh Gaddis, the savior of Harbaugh, bringing the 21st century offense to Ann Arbor. It's going to be up-tempo. It's going to be big yards, big plays. But that all relies on a quarterback that's able to read defenses, make quick decisions, be comfortable in the pocket, and it just gives so much responsibility on Shea Patterson. And all we've been told, Daniel, all summer is how this offense is tailor-made for Shea Patterson, how it's going to make him even better than last year. And he was good last year, but it's going to unleash him. Well, we're seeing Shea Patterson right now, and he looks completely lost. He looks scared. He looks rattled. And no, they're not playing a Big Ten rival. No, they're not on the road. They are at home in the big house against Army. And Army's a great team. They probably are one of the top 25 teams in the country pound for pound. If you're, forget about winning a national championship, think about winning a single game. You want the guys on Army. But Shea Patterson is completely befuddled. And he's playing probably the worst quarterbacked game we've seen a Michigan quarterback play since John O'Korn against Ohio State.
Now, as you mentioned, Army may very well be one of the 25 best teams in the country. I believe I said earlier they were the 29th team in the AP poll. If you did go to that others receiving votes section, there was a tie for 25th, so it's technically the top 26 right now. But nonetheless, Army, with this performance, they might be able to find their way into the top 25 even with a loss, although I'm sure that's not what's on their mind right now.
Exactly. As long as Army keeps up what they're doing, they're for sure going to be in the discussion. I mean, they already had 91 votes in the coaches poll, 94 in the USA coaches poll. And, I mean, you look at the names that they've gotten more votes than from coaches who know what they're doing. They know what Army's putting forth. And you got big-name teams. I mean, they're ranked higher than, or received more votes than big-name programs like Oklahoma State, USC, West Virginia. All programs in the last couple years have been considered, blue chips in terms of top 25 status. And, if you're in the same position, Michigan versus, let's say, USC, you may be thinking, USC. But it's Army, and we should stop taking them for granted. Army 14-7, it shouldn't be totally out of the picture that this is happening. But I just think for me, when I'm shocked at, it's just how poor Shea Patterson is playing so far. And I don't want to be too negative on the guy. I mean, he is a fellow Michigan Wolverine right now. We're technically classmates. But, I mean, he's really been just Shea Fumbleson this afternoon. He really has no sense right now when the defensive rushing attack is getting to him. He's just hanging a little bit too far back in the pocket, and it's allowing Army to strip that ball away, to force him to make bad plays. And, the only thing he hasn't done, which has been good, is have a really bad decision and throw it into double coverage and get the ball intercepted. But he has just been timid out there. He's not quite ready to step up in the pocket when it's collapsing around him and make a big arm throw into a crowded area, which you need to do if you're going to win games in the Big Ten. He's also sometimes just staying in the pocket. He's great at scrambling, and he always scrambles at what seems like the wrong time. Sometimes he's impatient, goes around too early, and it leads to the play collapsing around him. The offensive line could surely do better. I mean, they have some big guys up there, Ruiz, Onyewu, Bredesen. And even though they're not at their best today, they're still doing a solid enough job. But it's just all on Shea Patterson right now. He's lost touch with his dynamic playmaking ability, it seems.
Well, and I think a point of emphasis of this new offense is the RPOs and read options. It does add more to a quarterback's workload to be able to take in everything happening in front of him. And we saw the read option was a very successful play for the Wolverines last year in Pep Hamilton's offense. Josh Gaddis, of course, is the big new name in town, even eclipsing players like Zach Charbonnet, who are new to this team, getting more hype than just about any player on this roster, any newcomer, that's for sure. Right now, the results have not been fantastic for that new Josh Gaddis offense. In fact, if you look at his boss, per se, at Alabama, the official offensive coordinator who he assisted with in the offensive coordinating duties at Alabama, Mike Loxley, is killing it at Maryland right now, as they are way ahead of Syracuse, ranked 21st in the country and considered by many the only challenge to Clemson. Clemson is going up to Syracuse, New York next week to play a game, and I think they're completely off upset alert right now. They just got to worry about beating Texas A&M tonight. Maryland leads 42-13 at halftime, so Josh Gaddis is certainly being outshined by his colleague and senior at Alabama, as Maryland, maybe call them Marabama right now. They are off on a roll, winning 79-0 against FCS opponent Howard in their first game, up 29 on the road against number 1 Syracuse for the time being.
And I'm sure, Daniel, right now across the country, everybody is looking at the out-of-town scoreboard, seeing Army 14, Michigan 7. This is my first game up here in the big house with you, Daniel, calling Michigan football from the press box. And let me tell you, before the game, I had so many goosebumps. It was an unbelievable experience, and right now it's really all gone away. It's like the magic has been sucked out of this place just like this. I mean, quite frankly, that was kind of embarrassing.
We might have to kick you out. It's been a bad luck
I know.
charm.
I mean, I will fully. Hey, if it's getting close, I might have to bow out and call Vargas back in here. But
we'll see if it resorts to that. As we just mentioned the across the country scoreboard. I believe Maryland's at home. Actually, my bad. Still a 29-point lead over a top 25 team.
Exactly.
Impressive regardless. Not that top 25 means a whole lot at this point in the season, but
on a team that should, on paper, be
Missouri is having a bounce back right now against West Virginia. They lost to Wyoming last week. They're up 17-0 on the Mountaineers right now. Number 13, Utah, is tied with Northern Illinois early in the second quarter, 7-7. Northern Illinois heads to Lincoln next week to face the Cornhuskers. They are upset-minded for the time being. Of course, they defeated the Huskers 2 years ago in Lincoln. Iowa up 20-0 against Rutgers. That is, according to the game plan, the first Big Ten game of the season between two Big Ten teams. Still 70 seconds to go before second half kickoff here. Of course, the Wolverines are receiving the ball to start the half. We'll see if Patterson is regrouped, maybe had a better understanding for that read option. I believe the only time he kept the ball that entire first half was on the final play, second to last play of the half, where he very mistakenly chose to keep the ball, immediately saw two would-be tacklers and just chucked the ball straight up in the air, resulting in an obvious intentional grounding call. The ball did not reach the line of scrimmage. So that was an easy 10 yards against Michigan, forcing Quinn Nordine to attempt a 55-yarder rather than a 45-yarder that was ultimately just a bit wide right. And that Michigan kicking situation also not necessarily solved either.
No, I mean, I was talking to you right before that kick. It seems like anything 50-plus yards is what Quinn Nordine really excels at. He's just such a big leg kicker. It's strange because it almost seems like he has more success the further back you put him. And that's what Michigan was looking for when Jim Harbaugh had the famed, or infamous, I should say, sleepover at Quinn Nordine's house to try and recruit him to Michigan. And I remember watching my freshman year, my first ever Michigan game as a student, him just destroying 50-plus. I think one of them was 55, 56-yard field goals against Florida. And ever since then, it's really been downhill. He seemed through camp to make a name for himself, to play well enough to get up there with Moody. And I think we were all hoping he would be the old Quinn Nordine and make those long field goals look easy. But this is just another head-scratcher. And if I were to bet on who Harbaugh trots out there for the next field goal, if it's a little bit shorter, he's probably going to stick with the now sophomore Jake Moody.
And we haven't seen Moody today except on kickoffs. He did attempt both field goals that were shorter in the Middle Tennessee State game last week, as we are just about underway now. As the kickoff specialist Cole Talley gets underway, boots that one. It's not going to reach the end zone. Caught at about the 15 as Sandström is off to the races at the 25, cuts outside, crosses the 30. He's got grass in front of him, crosses the 45, flag on the field to the 50. Tackled finally at the Army 43-yard line, but I have a suspicion this one's coming back as 2 flags land right around the 30-yard line.
Yeah, it's going to come back. The Army defense already going out to around the 35-yard line. Michigan shaking their heads. I mean, we're all shaking our heads right now. Just when Michigan does something, it seems like there's a penalty, a turnover, and they just haven't put it together today.
And it's actually going to be a 15-yard penalty because it's a personal foul. A blindside block did not catch the number of the Wolverine it was assessed against. They didn't put it up there on the big board. Couldn't quite hear the referee through his mic, but Michigan's going way back now. It looked like Sandström had some room to run either way. It was going to be a decent return. Instead, Michigan is going all the way back down to the 16. Wolverine fans, who are already pretty upset, did not agree with that call. I am going to defer to the ref's judgment on that one. That is a unfrequent call. I would assume there was something quite blatant that prompted it. I'll let you know if we do get the number, but Shea Patterson in the shotgun formation again, 2 wide, extra tight end. It's going to be another handoff to Zach Charbonnet, who has no daylight, stopped after maybe 1 yard of forward progress, and Michigan is now facing 2nd and 9. We'll see if Michigan decides to pass the ball more. They really were on a passing hot streak in the first half against Middle Tennessee State, threw the ball 25 times in that half alone, and have completely abandoned it. And now Shea Patterson has come off the field. Dylan McCaffrey has entered the game, and the Michigan fans seem to be happy with that one as they all applaud. Dylan McCaffrey now in the shotgun formation, 2 wide still, both to his right. Fakes the handoff and throws way over the head of Tariq Black, and that was not the quarterbacking performance Michigan was hoping for when they brought out Shea Patterson, who is going to re-enter the game now. And I'm not quite sure what Jim Harbaugh has in mind with his 2 QB system. He definitely talked about it in the preseason, and it has come to life. But no consistency here, really, with that 2 QB system. Patterson now back on the field for 39. Michigan really needed to make a statement with this drive, and they are 1 play going for 8 yards or less away from going 3 and out. 3 wide to Patterson's right. Collins comes in motion behind Black. Patterson drops back. He has time, moves up in the pocket, and is sacked. Patterson will go down the 3rd sack against him of the day. He could have stayed in the pocket where he was, I believe. Came up a bit too early. His tackles had him covered. Comes forward and the defensive tackles meet him. Look to be Kwabena Bonosu and Jacob Covington collapsing on Patterson. And Michigan has gone 3 and out with 0 net yards on that drive.
And save for a turnover, that's about the worst possible start to the second half you could have if you're the Wolverines.
And keep in mind, the ball's on the Michigan 16. Army's punt returner is backpedaling, started at the 40, catches the ball back at his own 25, and momentum carries him to the 22. Cuts outside, has some daylight in front of him, but is tripped up with a phenomenal special teams play that looked to be Michigan's Nate Shanley, able to make a shoestring tackle against Akaya Miranda, the punt returner, who had daylight ahead of him, was going to cross the 50, if not for a great tackle there by Nate Shanley, just barely getting to his foot and tripping him over.
And a pretty good punt by Will Hart.
Phenomenal punt.
Normally, if you send the punt returner too far back, you can almost outkick the coverage. That gives the punt returner a lot of daylight. But if you're a team like Michigan, the one thing you know they're going to have over Army on every play is an advantage in terms of speed and athleticism. That's not translating on the scoreboard right there, but in special teams right there, Will Hart knows he can just put it back there, and his guys are going to catch up there and make the tackle. Yeah, it was a good return. It was about 10 yards or so, but considering where that ball took off from, near the Michigan end zone, and Army's going to have pedestrian starting field positioning. Good job by Will Hart, who is probably the best punter in the Big Ten, certainly was last year, and has been named to many award watch lists to start the season.
As we now honor the Veteran of the Day, of course this is a special Veteran of the Day honor being during the Army game, and with this, of course, being salute to service all throughout this game. We saw a proposal from an active Army sergeant earlier in the first half. Bob Jones is the Veteran of the Day, a Vietnam veteran and a prisoner of war who was shot down during Operation Homecoming. Clearly very moved right now by this Veteran of the game as he stands in the north end zone. Plenty of his fellow Army members cheering him on here today. Looking good, all dressed up in his suit as his family greets him in the north end zone. And all around just looking very healthy for a guy who was fighting in the Army back in 1973. Bob Jones, definitely one of the more impressive looking Veterans of the Day I've seen here in my time at Michigan. Getting a rousing welcome, of course, had to suffer through being a prisoner of war, and we thank him for his service certainly. As I now look back at the big screen here in the big house and see there's still 13:21 to go in this third quarter. That was the opposite of an Army drive. Only a minute 39 of possession in that one. Army never does that unless they fumble, as they did earlier in the half.
We've seen the ball on the ground so many times today. You'd like to think a turnover could help Michigan right here, but...
As Army dives forward into nothing, Michigan's defensive line getting a good push there. That'll be a 1-yard game for the ball carrier.
And for Michigan, it's going to be so important on first down. Limiting those 3 to 5 yard runs on first down is crucial to stopping the Army rushing attack, because if it's third and short, they're going to get it. If it's fourth down, they're going to go for it. You need to limit them early on first down, or else statistically you're just not going to have a good chance.
Carlo Kemp credited with the stop on Connor Slomka. It's a drop back, and it's a wide open receiver for Army. Crosses the 33 to the 30 and is pushed out of bounds by Josh Metellus at the 29. And the play action had Michigan completely bitten. Not much you can do about that when a team is running with so much success throughout a game. They're going to get wide open on the play action. That's what it's for. As Hopkins is able to find his teammate Artis Hobbs the fourth, wide open at the Michigan 35-yard line. He falls forward to the 29, and Army is already in great field position. They're just going to be looking for another drive where they just get 3 yards a clip and push that ball into the end zone. Wishbone formation again. It's a handoff to Slomka, who has some room to run and gets 8 or 9 yards before eventually being brought down by Ambry Thomas and Jordan Glasgow.
And even though Army still has 20 yards to go, it just seems like it's going to be a scoring drive for them already. I applauded the good first down effort on the first play of this drive on the Wolverines' part. But right after that, a great passing play by Army. And even though it's a bit of a surprise, it really shouldn't be that much of a surprise. Kelvin Hopkins Jr. was fantastic throwing the football last season. He threw for over 1,000 yards for the Black Knights, which doesn't sound that great, but for Army, it really does mean something. And he's comfortable throwing that ball whenever they need him to.
Army now running the option. Hopkins runs right, has the room to gain the first down, and falls forward. Very JT Barrett-esque, as we've said on this broadcast. When he decides it's time to go down, he always tacks on 2 or 3 more yards. Hopkins picks it up and gets the ball just a hair beyond the 15-yard line. Just under 15 yards separating Army and Paydert, and a 14-point lead at home against the 7th-ranked Michigan Wolverines.
And Daniel, it is silent right now in Michigan Stadium. The only cheers are coming from the student section, and it's not nearly as loud as we're accustomed.
Handoff to Slomka, who is able to fight forward and leap over a man to gain 7 yards on the first carry of that series. So it's going to be 2nd and short, and once Army gets ahead in the series, it's basically over. 2nd and 5 it's going to be. If they can gain more than 4 yards on a first down, it becomes very easy for them as their offense is designed to fall forward. And Michigan's going to have a very difficult time defending a 1st and goal situation when they're only going to be about 4 yards away from the end zone if they get there. Wishbone formation, I probably don't need to tell you that. That's all Army runs out of generally. Sandon McCoy is the fullback now. Takes the carry and is met at the line of scrimmage. Michigan does a great job to bottle him up. reducing it to about a 1-yard gain as he's able to fall forward for a minuscule gain, and Michigan establishes 3rd and medium.
And you'd like to think 3rd and medium, this is looking good for Michigan, but to quote Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. The Army Black Knights are the best team in the nation on 3rd down conversions. They were last year. They converted 57.1% of the time. That's just outstanding, and Army wins football games when they convert on 3rd down. Last week they had some troubles against Rice, only winning 14-7, but finally in the 4th quarter they were 4 for 4 when it mattered most.
Here we go, 3rd and 4. Slomka is the carrier, and he is brought down, but not before gaining a 1st down out to the 3-yard line. I was about to mention that they were 21 for 26 on 4th down last year, which is probably even more impressive. However, did not matter. Ball is now spotted at the 4. He's given the 1st down, though. 1st and goal from the 4, and it's going to be very, very difficult to stop Army from gaining 4 yards in 4 plays. This is certainly 4-down territory for them, I believe. They'd have to be more than 3 yards from the end zone, I think, to not go for it. Only one Michigan defender even standing in the end zone. Everyone else at the goal line or closer, as Hopkins keeps it and is brought down just shy of the end zone. Kelvin Hopkins, the quarterback, keeps it to about the half-yard line. We'll see what the official spot is. He was right there before Michigan finally had enough men there to get the push and bring him down. Looks like Ben Mason and Mike Dana are 2 of the tacklers there. Ball is placed just about right on the 1.
Well, even though this touchdown seems all but a sure thing for the Black Knights, if the Wolverines, even they can push it to 4th down, that'll give that defense a little bit of mojo, a little bit of swagger that they desperately need. Just focus on one play at a time. Now
every play, the Michigan defender has their feet in the end zone, but a flag is called, and this could be a complete drive killer for the Black Knights as they commit a false start, a very uncharacteristic error for the Army Black Knights, and that's going to push him back now to 2nd and 6, and that is catastrophic. You just said this is a near surefire touchdown. Not anymore. Michigan might be able to force a field goal out of this one now.
And if I'm correct, the only other penalty Army has had today was the personal foul after, I believe it was Josh Metellus getting in the face of some of the Army players, and that totally killed their drive. Army is one of the most disciplined because they're West Point cadets, but they can't be doing this if they want to win.
Army brings a receiver in motion. Hopkins is going to keep it. Doesn't have anywhere to go. Quiddy Pay brings him down at the 5-yard line. That's going to be a 1-yard gain, and now it's 3rd and long for the Black Knights. And 3rd and 5, maybe 3rd and medium for most teams, but that is 3rd and long if you are the Army Black Knights, especially at the 5-yard line where Michigan has no reason to play deep anyway.
And this is absolutely huge for the Wolverines. They need to stop right here. Push it to 4th down. Don't worry about it right now. You know, one play at a time, but this really is a very monumental play for Michigan. Can they get the crowd back in them? Can they get the people of Ann Arbor to believe in this once vaunted Michigan defense again? We're about to find out.
Army's going to have to call timeout as they try to do a rare personnel substitution. They don't like doing that too much at all. Army is also usually one of the most well-conditioned teams in FBS football. Army, we saw, ran out of all their timeouts very early in the last half. Now they're already going to burn the first half timeout by either team of the half. 2 to go for Army with 22:53 to go in this one. 7:53 to play in the 3rd quarter. You're listening to WCBN Sports' coverage of Michigan football as Michigan trails 14-7 against the Army Black Knights. As we now have the attendance to announce for you. It's been confirmed to be over 100,000. There was not much doubt about that. And now the official attendance today during this media timeout. We are commercial-free here at WCBN. 111,474. That's the most on the season. And a few thousand more than the official capacity of Michigan Stadium.
And Daniel, just listen right now. Can you hear it? No, you can't. Normally that attendance announcement drawing a raucous cheer from the crowd. So they're not even playing music right now. It's just silent. It's awkward right now, and that's how Michigan is playing. They're playing awkward. They're not playing with that lean, mean, fight machine spirit that they have, especially last year with defensive coordinator Don Brown. And while Don Brown's defense does a lot of things well, that attacking all-out blitz style, not exactly suited to face the triple option of Army. And Michigan is a team that in the past has had more than enough talent to overcome personnel mismatches. But we're just not seeing it today. And this is, forget about today. Looking forward, this is just a little bit troubling. And it's not like any team that Michigan faces is going to randomly pull out an entire Army-style triple option attack. But the ability to stop the run was so important for Michigan. On first and second down, teams playing Michigan last year were not able to get good yards. They were able to force third and long, and that's when Don Brown was able to unleash that vaunted Michigan pass rush and get sacks and get opposing offenses off the field. But if teams are just going up and bullying the Wolverines on first down, second down, running plays right up the middle, that's scary. There were a couple drives last week when Middle Tennessee did this. And yes, I might be overreacting a little bit too much. It's only not even done with the second game of the season, but I'm starting to get a little nervous, not just about this game, but about the season. And I sense that the Ann Arbor crowd is doing a little bit of the same.
Here we go, 3rd and goal from the 5. Michigan now pumping in the music, trying to get the crowd into it, but that's not working too much. 111,000 people here not making their presence felt. Crowd getting into it now as the play clock gets underway. Hopkins declines to pitch. He's looking to throw, and it's picked off! Levert Hill is intercepted. Kelvin Hopkins and returns it out to the 22-yard line, and an uncharacteristic error from the Army Black Knights as Levert Hill brings the Michigan Wolverines back into this game.
And Levert Hill making up for last week when he had an uncharacteristically bad dropped pick 6, but he gets it right when the Wolverines need it, and they are back in business. They might not score right now, but they needed that stop. Remember I said that the Army touchdown was all but assured just 5 short minutes ago? Well, not anymore.
And it all started with that false start. That false start brought him 5 yards back, and they never would have had to pass. Levert Hill also in the doghouse earlier today for committing a defensive holding penalty on 4th and long. 4th and 10, I believe, was the official
on a play that wasn't going anywhere.
No, not at all. Now Shea Patterson with Charbonnet to his right. Hands it off. Charbonnet has some room to run and is met by tacklers at around the 31-yard line. Looks like Cole Christensen and Eric Smith are the ball tacklers. So a healthy 6-yard gain to start the drive. 2nd and 4 now for the Wolverines. 3 wide, all to Patterson's right. Charbonnet still the lone back. Charbonnet keeps it again and fights his way through Cole Christensen for a Michigan first down out to the Army 34-yard line.
And Daniel, we might be a little guilty of this as members of the Michigan media, but they're sometimes a little overreactive. And when I saw that people in the Michigan media were comparing Zach Charbonnet to Adrian Peterson, I was a little skeptical. But his rushing style and his stature out there really does imitate the Washington Redskins starting running back, and he's looked great so far in 2 games.
It was assumed by many it would be running back by committee, but Charbonnet has taken over not even 2 full games into his Michigan tenure. The true freshman impressing so far. Patterson drops back, decides to give up on the play and run, slides under a linebacker, though, for a 3 or 4 yard gain. Patterson giving up on these plays very quickly. That time, though, is able to turn it into a positive gain. Still seems rattled by those 2 early fumbles, as if they're really impacting his decision-making. It will be 2nd and 8. I think an unfortunate spot for Patterson right there at the Michigan 41-yard line. 3 wide yet again. Nico Collins out wide to the left. Charbonnet keeps it again and is met immediately at the line of scrimmage. Someone did not meet their man, and Charbonnet had nowhere to go. 3rd and long again for the Wolverines, only picking up 1 first down so far, 9 minutes into this half.
And Daniel, it seems like there's one of 2 options for Patterson in this game. Take a hit and collapse under the pocket pressure, or just go straight and run. He needs to be a little more creative out there and just calm down, because he's skilled enough. We've seen it before.
It was Bonsu on the tackle for no gain. Patterson drops back yet again. He's already under duress. Has to throw one down to Nico Collins, who is interfered with, and that'll be a Michigan first down. Was not a stellar throw, but close enough to draw the foul as the Army Black Knight defender never turned around.
And even if it's not the most contact, Daniel, that's what referees are always looking for. If they see that head constantly on the receiver, they don't see him turn around at all, that's something that's going to be called every single time.
It was Elijah Riley of Port Jefferson, New York, a senior, one of the better players on that defense. His teammate got pressure on Patterson. If there's no interference, I think Collins is able to extend for that ball. Doesn't matter. Ball's now on the Army 49-yard line. Patterson hands it off yet again, and Charbonnet runs into a cloud of tacklers. That will be a tackle for a loss right at the 50-yard line at the point of the M here at midfield. Charbonnet is really losing out on his yards per carry right now. It was 5.8 entering the half, down to 4.5 before that play. It's only going to go down. This offense needs to get more creative.
They do, and Shea Patterson also needs to get lucky. He got a little bit of a good roll right there. Hopefully he can take advantage of it and get some sort of offense.
Second and 11 as Patterson throws in the backfield to Tariq Black, who stumbles and has to make a spin move to even advance for a 2-yard gain. It's going to be 3rd and 9 from the Army 48. Michigan did try to get creative there. It didn't really work, though, as Tariq Black started the play in motion and attracted the eyes of several defenders but before he even caught the ball.
And without Donovan Peoples-Jones playing at all this season, the receiving core has kind of not looked as promised. They were very hyped up, assumed to be Michigan's best position group on the team, but we haven't seen them dominate quite yet.
Patterson on 3rd and 9 drops back as a wide open Nico Collins for a first down, is able to advance to the Army 30, tackled by Jalen McClinton rather. First down Michigan, who is getting a good-looking drive off right now. Only their second real consistent drive of the game. And they've picked up multiple third down conversions now, which has been huge, whether by pass interference or completing the ball. Their largest play, though, is still that 25-yard gain to Daxton Hill on the fake punt. Bell in motion, the ball given to Charbonnet, though, and that was enough to give him some room to run. It hits a hole and gains 3 yards.
Daniel, we finally saw a little bit of speed in space right there. Not quite the right defense to defend the slant. Easy pass by Shea Patterson right to Nico Collins. It's good to see him get more involved. Ronnie Bell has not been at his best so far today. Nico Collins hasn't quite had the opportunities, but as we get closer and closer to that red zone, look for Shea Patterson to keep an eye out for Collins.
Eubanks moves in the backfield. An RPO, and it's way over Eubanks' head. Patterson had a wide-open Eubanks for 4 yards, and we'll see how many he could have gained. Instead, though, the ball flies way over his head. No chance of catching that one. It's going to be 3rd and 7.
And that's the second similar throw on a similar route that Patterson missed. This was more Tariq Black's fault, but he had him for a wide-open touchdown in the first quarter. Couldn't come down with it. And on that short little crossing route right there by Eubanks, Patterson just overthrows him.
So, 3rd and long again. They went to Nico Collins last time, who is 2 for 2 on his target, so they need to get the ball to speed in space more frequently. Collins is now brought in motion, stacked right behind Ronnie Bell to Shea Patterson's left. Patterson drops back, looks left, doesn't see anything, but he has all day to throw, and finds Ronnie Bell open to the 10, the 5, extending to the goal line, and knocked out of bounds at the 1.
And finally, just when I was on his case, Ronnie Bell comes up with it. I was about to yell at Patterson. He had a lot of real estate on the left, to his left side. Just kind of stayed in the pocket. Maybe not the greatest pocket sense by Patterson, but he gets the job done. Good throw. Ronnie Bell able to come down with it and get a little bit of YAC after that one. And Michigan is in business. This would be a little bit lucky. This would be not the most deserved touchdown, but they need it, and it'd be great to see him punch it in right here.
I'll disagree with you there. That was the best play holistically by the offense all game, in my opinion. The defense gave Patterson time. Patterson looked calm and poised in the pocket and did a phenomenal job to beat blanket coverage by the Army Black Knights. Threw that ball where only Ronnie Bell could catch it. That was a phenomenal play on all ends of the offense as far as I see it, as Ronnie Bell was met by 4 teammates all celebrating his first real positive play of this game, because as you were right, he did struggle punt returning and as a receiver in this one. 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. Charbonnet, the only back. Handed off, and it's going to be a 1-yard gain. That'll not going to be a whole lot, but it's enough to drive Michigan closer to the end zone. If they can get that push 3 more times, they will get in. 2nd and goal from the 1 upcoming. 2:43 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Michigan trying to convert on a careless Army penalty and then interception and cash in with a 77-yard touchdown drive. 1 yard away. 2 tight end set. Patterson hands it off to Charbonnet, who plows forward into the end zone for a Michigan touchdown. It is 13-14 here in Ann Arbor, and the Wolverines are pretty close from completing the comeback and perhaps dodging a huge upset. We know that Army gave Oklahoma trouble a year ago. Michigan finding themselves in a similar situation as Jake Moody is now coming out to be the extra point kicker. We have not seen a Michigan place kicking attempt since Quinn Nordine missed the field goal to end the first half, and Nordine had kicked every extra point of the season up until now. Will Hart the holder. It looks like Moody is gaining favoritism here in the kicking competition. Kick is up, and it is good. Tie game here in Ann Arbor.
And Westlake Village, California, the same high school as former Notre Dame quarterback Jimmy Clausen, who was another big name recruit for Notre Dame. Hopefully Charbonnet, not quite as highly touted coming out of high school, but still somebody who's looked to give an instant impact on his ball club at an early underclassman age. He gets it done right there.
Interesting connection right there with Jimmy Clausen. And Charbonnet was a very high-end 4-star. 24/7 gave him about as high of a rating as he could get without getting 5 stars. I believe they limited it to just 32 5 stars nationally. But right now he is outperforming 2 different Michigan Wolverines who were 5 stars. Charbonnet, the 3rd highest rated Wolverine of the 2019 class. Chris Hinton and Daxton Hill, the 2 others. Hinton did not get into yesterday's game until very late. Meanwhile, Daxton Hill really only was in on special teams and a couple of very late plays at safety. He made his name heard early in this one on Michigan's other touchdown drive, saving that drive with a great juke right in front of the sticks and ultimately turning that into a 25-yard gain. Still Michigan's most positive play of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But Zach Charbonnet outshining the 2 5-stars on this team, and I think it's early. He's not even played 7 quarters of football, but he has established himself as the best running back on this team and perhaps the best recruit of the 2019 class.
And Zach Charbonnet was probably, out of the 3 main Michigan running backs, the one we heard about the least. As much as he was highly touted coming out of California, we heard a lot early on about Christian Turner. He had some pretty nice runs in that Peach Bowl loss to Florida. He was one of the early names in the beginning of the offseason for Michigan that was circling around, who's making big improvements in his game. And then you heard a little bit of True Wilson too, who's very solid. I believe averaged over 5 yards a carry last year in Pep Hamilton's offense. But Zach Charbonnet was kind of always there, and we weren't sure who was going to be the main guy coming out of the backfield until last week. And Charbonnet certainly impressed the most. And today, right now, later in this game, getting really the most meaningful touches for the Wolverines.
Charbonnet, a .9760 out of a perfect 1 recruit. He was ranked 46th nationally. Right now, though, looks to be one of the best true freshmen in the country. As Jake Moody, who just dotted the I with that extra point, is getting ready to kick off. I wonder if he has taken the lead in the kicking competition or if maybe Harbaugh's just going to switch it up and he'll kick extra points now while Nordine takes care of field goals. Tie game, though, as Moody boots this one toward the end zone. Fair catch is signaled. Doesn't matter, though, as that ball hits the very back of the end zone, hitting the very back of the blue stripe between the Michigan letters and the white end of the end zone. So Michigan's defense had their worst performance defensively, I'd have to say, on that pass drive against Army. They bit on a play action, which is easy to do against Army, but ultimately Levert Hill, wrong Hill brother. They're not no relation. Levert, of course, his older brother, Delano Hill, played for Michigan up until 2016.
A fun fact, Delano Hill recently changed his name to just Lano Hill.
Like officially, legally, or just
legally?
How he
it says
really?
That now on Wikipedia. So hopefully Wikipedia is correct right here. But yeah, there are a lot of hills here at Michigan. You want to include the Hill dorms too. Shout out to Alice Lloyd Hall. But interestingly enough, going back to that kickoff, as Moody was the one who has been the kickoff kicker for Michigan in 2 games so far this season, in his now 2 seasons and 2 games in the maize and blue for Quinn Nordine, a kicker who was brought to Michigan for his big leg, he has never taken kickoffs. It was James Fogue who was the kickoff specialist 2 years ago for Harbaugh and the Wolverines. And last year it was Jake Moody, until Jake Moody ultimately took Nordine's place kicker role late in the season.
Yeah, a very interesting kicking career for Quinn Nordine, making it about as interesting as things can be for a kicker. Going through benchings, nailing 50-plus yarders and missing extra points at times. Originally committed to Penn State, ended up missing an extra point against Penn State in his true freshman year. We'll see what's in store for the Michigan defense here on this drive. I'm going to guess it's going to be a lot of triple option. 2:24 to go in this one tie game here in Ann Arbor.
And wow, what a swing that was right there. I went from saying the words, an Army touchdown is all but assured, to a uncharacteristic red zone turnover. And now Michigan has tied this game. Mr. Brightside is playing. The sun's coming out. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's just my imagination. But it seems like things are starting to go in the Wolverines' direction a little bit. Starting to get a little more optimism. I'm a little more calm right now, Daniel. We could be seeing the tide turning in this ball game.
That Levert Hill play may very well have been the turning point of this game. 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line. Kelvin Hopkins comes out under center, and he is as under center as it can be. Every snap, basically, he is squatting under his center, lined up with the rest of his linemen. It's going to be a triple option right now. Hopkins elects to keep it before Uche nails him right at the line of scrimmage. A flag is down in the backfield. We'll have to see what this is. It's in the area where you would think holding.
You'd like to think that, Daniel, and a holding penalty would be catastrophic for Army, starting with the 1st and 20 when you know they're going to
And the Michigan player is down. That looks to be Levert Hill. It is indeed holding against the Army Black Knights. Peyton Reeder, the center, is the one who got called for a hold against, I think that was Carlo Kemp, as we now have an injury timeout. Vincent Gray and Ambry Thomas come onto the field. Was indeed Carlo Kemp who was held, so credit to him. And what's better than 1st and 10? 1st and 20. If you have Army far away from that line to gain, they are in big trouble. And that is probably a drive killer for these Black Knights who do not do well in passing downs. Levert Hill, though, who might be the most important player on this Michigan defense, their best defensive back, at a position where they're a bit thinner than others, is still on the ground being looked at by multiple trainers. Gets up right now and is not walking out, and he is indeed walking off under his own power, shoulder to shoulder with some trainers, but he did seem to get up mostly on his own. I have to think he'll be out for at least the rest of this drive, at least as a precaution. No idea what the injury was yet. Didn't see it as it was happening either. Army is known for their aggressive style of blocking. They like to go low. It is illegal to block a player below the waist more than 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage.
And Levert Hill walking off, a good sight for the Wolverines. And now the crowd's back into it, just like that. 1st and 20.
Starting to feel like 111,000 people again. Michigan with 3 defensive linemen with their hands down in the dirt. Vincent Gray and Ambry Thomas into this game. And that triple option was almost blown up. The pitch got off in time, and Army's able to turn that into a nice gain. That'll be 8 or 9 yards on the pitch that went out to Army's number 5, Kel Walker.
And Kel Walker, the second most experienced player on this Army team. And it's going to all be for naught. It'll be about the same yardage and down if Michigan did not accept that holding call.
2nd and 12. Kel Walker actually played a lot of quarterback last year, threw 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions on 93 attempts. Actually had 9 more yards than Kelvin Hopkins last year. Michigan once again, 3 down linemen. Hopkins looking to throw, has pressure, but finds a wide open man at the 20. Crossing field to the 25. Kalik Hudson can't get to him before Quiddy Pay comes way across the field, never gave up on that play, and brings him down at the 32-yard line. And Army's done a phenomenal job of getting this down to 3rd and short again. We basically pronounced this drive dead after that holding call. Instead, though, they attempt only their 3rd pass of the game. They're 2 for 3 now, 43 yards, but 1 crucial pick in the red zone. 3rd and 3, this is how Army likes it. I don't think this is 4-down territory, but this is very doable now. They've done a great job getting back into this one.
Oh, they're right in their wheelhouse yet again.
3 down linemen for Michigan. Jordan Glasgow into this game at linebacker. It's going to be a pitch out wide, and he is wrapped up for a big loss. Dives forward to cut it down to a 1-yard loss, and that's Michigan's first tackle for loss of the game, as Josh Metellus was the first one there to wrap up Kel Walker.
Great job by Metellus. And that was just good defense by Michigan. They had a good read on the play, so they used their brain. They were quick getting there. Just exactly what you want to see defending the triple option for the Wolverines. And Metellus, who has been pretty quiet so far, makes a big play right there. Uchi was there as well, and Kalik Hudson.
Yep, Michigan won that play with their brains. Everyone was able to correctly predict where that ball was going, and there were not enough blockers to stop everyone. Josh Metellus was the fortunate Michigan player who was completely unblocked, and he did his job, wrapped up Kel before a couple of other tacklers came in and finished the job. That will end the 3rd quarter, so Michigan will get the ball back with a chance to take the lead to start the 4th quarter. And what a turn of events here. Michigan looked like they were about to go down by 14 points in this one. All of a sudden now they just forced a 3-and-out. A very long 3-and-out, a lot of plays along there, but assuming Army doesn't go for it here, they do love to do that, but with that minute loss on that play, I really think that's out of the question. Of course, the stakes are high in this one. Michigan, a top 10 team. Army could really make a statement with the win here, but perhaps even the biggest. Of all teams that Michigan has played more than 3 times, only one has a winning record against the Wolverines, and that is Army. The Black Knights are 5-4 historically. This is the 10th matchup, and they might fall from that grace here as they are tied 14-14 entering the 4th quarter.
Yeah, and Army started off very well historically against the Wolverines. In a period from 1945 to 1954, the Black Knights of the Hudson won their first 5 matchups against the Wolverines. 3 of those matchups, interestingly enough, were played in Yankee Stadium at 161st and River Avenue in the Bronx. Even that series up at 5-5. Now a little more about Army football. Their first season was in 1890. Their all-time record is 673, 518, and 51. They've played 128 seasons out of the 150 years of college football that is being celebrated in 2018. They have 3 national championships, all coming 3 years in a row, 1944, 1945, and 46. Just like Michigan, they have 3 Heisman winners, Doc Blanchard, Glenn Davis, and Pete Dawkins, who, interestingly enough, lives in my building.
And another thing that we're going to be looking out for is the first punt in forever from the Army Black Knights. Ronnie Bell struggled today. He elected to not catch a couple of punts that were maybe catchable. Instead, they bounced and took a very favorable Army roll.
Oh, and it was, I believe, a 64-yard punt. Absolute booming kick and a great roll. Pat McAfee would be proud of that on-brand punt for the Black Knights. A little more history about the U.S. Military Academy. It was established in 1802 and is the oldest continuously operating post in U.S. Army history. The West Point post was established in 1778 as the Continental Army occupied it because of its strategic location would help fortify the Hudson River, thus preventing the British Army from sailing up the Hudson and dividing the mid-Atlantic colonies from New England, which would have been catastrophic for the Patriot War effort.
This is the 150th year of college football, but Army goes way back, long before that.
They do, and Michigan, we have some pretty amazingly impressive alumni. Tom Brady in football, Larry Page in the realm of technology, James Earl Jones, Gerald Ford, so many legends, but Army certainly has its fair share, if not more. Astronaut Buzz Aldrin, Coach K, the
Now, of
all-time winningest basketball coach.
Now, we're talking astronauts. Michigan did have the Apollo
They do.
14 crew, I believe, was all
So
Michigan. Three Wolverine astronauts.
If you want to talk about a matchup with some moon landing experience, it's Michigan Army.
Ronnie Bell is back deep for Michigan again, standing at his own 27, comes up to meet this one, catches it in stride at the 30, and he fumbles it. That ball is loose before Michigan gets back on top of that one, and crisis averted. And I have to think Ronnie Bell's days as a Michigan punt returner are numbered.
Yeah, looking numbered. Maybe they might put Sandra still in. He did a pretty good job on the last kick return for Michigan, but you know who'd be mad at that fumble? Some U.S. Army generals who have made their way through West Point: Douglas MacArthur, George Patton, even William T. Sherman, not to mention the two presidents who have been cadets at West Point, President Dwight Eisenhower and U.S. Grant.
Josh,
So 3 presidents between the two teams, or the two schools
yeah,
this afternoon.
two very historic schools right now as Michigan comes out 3 wide in shotgun. Charbonnet the back yet again to Patterson's left. They bring Bell in motion and throw it to him in the backfield. He's got good blocking downfield, but cannot quite get to the 40 before the tackler does fall forward for a Michigan first down, though. So he's looking better offensively at least, although his punt returns are getting progressively worse. As Army is going to call, no, it's going to be a official's timeout as Army has an injured player. That looks to be Jalen McClinton, who got to the tackle. Does a very good job there because there was some phenomenal downfield blocking there by Nico Collins, who was doing a great job blocking the Army cornerback, Javari Bordeaux. He had that edge set as long as Ronnie Bell got ahead of him in full steam. He might have been off to the races and gone for a touchdown. Great play by Jalen McClinton to meet Bell before he had open space.
Yeah, the tackling on both sides today has been pretty good. Not too many mistakes there, although can't say the same about ball security. As I believe even though the Wolverines recovered that's at least the 5th fumble we've seen today.
5 fumbles between the two teams and an interception. Michigan at least doing a good job protecting the ball through the air this year, yet to throw their first interception on the season. Army already has their first, despite only throwing 12 passes so far in this young college football season. We're still in timeout for an injured Army player. He's off the field already, so it looks like it wasn't too severe. No, he just got up, and that was the tackler, Jalen McClinton. I could not see him. He was hiding behind the Michigan, or in front of the Michigan bench, and all the players standing up shielded him from me. Good spot there, Alex, catching him right along the sideline. He is also walking off under his own power.
Jalen McClinton, who, as you said, Daniel, made a great tackle to limit the big play opportunity by Ronnie Bell. McClinton, a senior defensive back, making his 23rd start for the Black Knights of the Hudson. He's out of North Carolina, Charlotte Christian School.
His helmet is off as he goes into the tent. We hope the best for him. You would hate to see a senior go down like that in his senior year. We hope that we can even see him back in this game. We'll find out just how long he is out. Both units still huddled up right now. Teams taking their time to get back out here. There is 14:35 to still go in this 4th quarter as this game has slowed down a bit.
Yeah, well, with this game being nationally televised on Fox, there are a lot of long media timeouts, but even though it's on TV, we thank you for listening with us here at WCBN. Also, we've got to point out that our comrades and our fellow student radio broadcasters from WKTD in West Point have made the trek out, so it's been great to share the booth with them today.
Cornelius Johnson enters the game at receiver for Michigan. 3 wide yet again. It's going to be a keeper for Charbonnet, who doesn't have much of anywhere to go. Maybe got half a yard on that one. It's actually 2nd and 1. I apologize. I had a very bad spot on that Ronnie Bell play. So it's 3rd and 1 now after no gain there. And Michigan now is in 3rd and short. Handed off to Charbonnet again, who has room this time, crosses the 45 and falls forward to the 47. That'll be a first down Michigan this time. Once again, my apologies for missing that Ronnie Bell spot, not even realizing it until after the next play.
And Charbonnet already carrying the ball 20 times today. He's had his work cut out for him. Not the greatest yards per carry stats, but he's just done a really good job. Been very patient, has had good vision, and whenever the offensive line has given him some room to work with, he has taken it and played like a seasoned veteran.
Bell in motion yet again. Patterson fakes a handoff, has some time, and throws into double coverage, and that is incomplete. A little bit behind Nick Eubanks, the intended receiver.
And Tariq Black was out deeper. He's making the walk back right now, kind of trying to get Shea Patterson to look his direction. Black starting to get more confidence, which is so great. Really unfortunate first 2 years for Tariq. Was probably the best receiver on Michigan's team in his freshman year, got injured against Air Force, and last year didn't even play a game until very late in the season.
2nd and 10 from their own 47 for the Wolverines. 4 wide. Turner now the lone back next to Patterson. Patterson taking some time, calls an audible, and everyone adjusts. One of the tight ends comes in to block. It's going to be a keeper for Turner, who does not have much of anywhere to go. Struggles for a yard and a half. It's going to be 3rd and long for Michigan, still on their own side of the field, but they can sniff the midfield line.
You think Patterson's going to keep it at all today? I think the only time he has is when he made that ill-advised and very obvious intentional grounding.
Did not go well, and that was something he struggled with last week too, when to decide the keepers. He's been very much favoring handing it off as Charbonnet re-enters the game. 3rd and 7. Patterson has time to throw and is able to hit Ronnie Bell, who is just ahead of the sticks for a first down. He spent some time dancing at the 40-yard line, trying to find a gap to exploit, but ultimately brought down at the 40 for a Michigan first down, though. Michigan facing a lot of 3rd and longs this half, but they're converting them. That's the Army game plan, convert 3rd downs. Michigan converting 3rd and longs, 1st and 10 from the 39. Tariq Black, Collins, and Bell, the usual suspects are the receivers. McCune in at tight end, just playing wide of Bates. Fakes the handoff and hits Bell early. Bell spins forward for a first down. That's going to go up for a 12-yard gain to the 27. And Patterson and Bell are really gelling right now.
Yeah, they're getting in a rhythm. There's not too much speed in space. There's not much space at all.
No.
But Patterson's getting it into tighter windows and is trusting Bell even more, who's doing his job. And this is really good for the Michigan offense. We haven't seen a good connection like this all season so far.
Bell comes off the field and Cornelius Johnson enters the game on outside wide of the right hash mark. Charbonnet has the ball and just goes right into one of his own linemen. Falls forward for a 2-yard gain. It'll be 2nd and 8, and the running game, which was very successful early on, has dried up for the Wolverines, but the passing game finally actually helping them and not being a hindrance.
Yeah, Shea Patterson making some throws right now, but you really got to give the credit to this little uptick in offensive precision and playmaking ability to this offensive line. They're really starting to stand up those Army guys who are maybe getting a little bit of tired as this Michigan offense continues at a really rapid pace.
Turner now the back. Johnson and Black are the 2 wide receivers. It's the 2 tight end set. Fakes the handoff to Turner. Shea rolling to his left and has to fire it off to Eubanks, who catches it inbounds, tipping his toes to the 21-yard line. That'll be a 4-yard gain, 3rd and 4 upcoming.
And I think that's the first time Patterson has completed a pass while rolling to his left today. Good to see that. 3rd down and 3. Again, the Michigan offensive line will be tested once more. If they can stand tall, Michigan's receivers have been getting open right now and starting to wear out this Army defense. You'd like to think that Michigan can punch it forward right here and keep the drive alive.
3 wide as Ronnie Bell re-enters the game. Eubanks, comes in close. And they are going to hand it off to Charbonnet, who has nowhere to go. Keeps trying to churn forward. The line is trying to push him. He's stuck at the 19. Needs to get to the 17, but they blow him dead before he gets there. And I wonder if this is 4-down territory. I'd have to say because of the situation, I think Michigan will kick a field goal. But they are just short of that first down marker. It's going to be 4th and a hair under 2 yards as Van Sumeren re-enters the game for the first time since fumbling in the first half.
And it looks like they're going to go for it. I don't see any of the field goal unit trotting onto the field. Patterson is out there, and They have 15 seconds to work with on the play clock.
I would not be surprised if this will be a hard count, as Van Sumeren is to Patterson's right. Charbonnet to his left. Johnson, the only receiver on the field, and it's blown up for a huge loss. Charbonnet is tackled before he could even really take a step with the ball. That might have been a read option. If it was, Patterson should have kept it. A huge loss as Army sold out on Charbonnet, and they were correct in doing so. Patterson had all day if he kept it and ran around the left tackle. Instead, Michigan turns it over on downs, and this is still a tie game with 9:58 to go, and one Army drive could end this game. They tend to have 8, 9, 10-minute drives.
And last week against Rice, Army clinched the game on a 9-minute, 44-second game-winning touchdown drive in which they converted 4 times on third down. That happens right now. It's an automatic win. Michigan's defense needs to step up here. That was absolutely huge, possibly game-saving tackle for Army, especially at the pace that they work with. But to your point, Daniel, it seems like if it was a read option, Patterson should have kept it on his left side. Center Cesar Ruiz, Mike Onyewu, and Jalen Mayfield, we're doing a pretty good job getting some space open for Patterson to at least have a shot at the first down. It seems like Charbonnet was stopped right when he touched the ball. And more on Mike Onyewu, the senior from Cass Tech. Cass Tech was actually the same high school as Paul Wurtsmith, the very decorated U.S. Army general and firefighter in World War II. Maybe Onyewu can channel a little bit of his fellow Cass Tech alumni's fighting spirit and be clutch down the stretch for this Wolverines team. That's what the offense is going to need as a whole. A lot of seniors, a lot of veteran leadership on this team. Ruiz, the center, is a junior. Of course, Bredesen, Runyon, and I am sorry. My point is that the Michigan offensive line has a lot of veteran leadership. And do you know what we see from veterans, Daniel? They get better as the game goes along. That's what we've seen here today. Mayfield, the freshman, has held his own too. He's a redshirt out of Grand Rapids. But really good job as the game has gone along by this Michigan offensive line. But they really need to step up, and we know we can count on those 3 upperclassmen to do so. I like Michigan's chances if they can get a stop here and get that offense back on the field, because we really are starting to see them heat up, especially with more time in the pocket for Shea Patterson. He doesn't need to be quite as good.
And this will be the test for the Michigan defense in this young season. A lot of underclassmen playing here as Levert Hill is back in the game. That is great news for the Michigan Wolverines in this game and going forward. Ball has been spotted at the 23-yard line. That must have been where Charbonnet's forward progress was, if there was any at all. Michigan with 4 down linemen. It's a handoff that was almost immediately blown up. However, Carlo Kemp was unable to get the tackle. And it was Smolka with the carry that went forward for about 5 yards rather, and a 2nd and 5 for the Army Black Knights. That's a successful first down. And they are marching their way. Hutchinson, Kemp, and Pay with their hands in the dirt. Another give to Smolka, who gets forward for the first down. First down, Black Knights at the 33-yard line. Getting a quick 10 yards.
And they didn't even need that good third down conversion right there, getting to the point early on 2nd down. Another chance for the Wolverines to put Army's backs against the wall with a 2nd and long.
2nd and 10 for the Black Knights. 16 to go on the play clock, and I guarantee you they won't snap that for a while.
No, they won't. They will take it all the way down and bruise this Michigan defense and slowly make their way up the field and kill that time.
It's going to be a handoff to Slomka again, who gets nowhere. Runs into a host of Michigan defensive linemen right at the line of scrimmage. Credit Kemp and Uche with the tackle.
And maybe the least amount of yardage that Army has gotten on a first down in quite a while. And just from up here, Army's offensive line looks to be slowing down ever so slightly. Michigan, while they may not be considered as deep against a team like Ohio State, against a team like Army who doesn't quite have so much depth, Michigan, if they keep cycling guys and they have some veterans in there, they can really start to make Army hurt.
Pay, Kemp, and Hutchinson again with their hands in the dirt. It's a keeper for Hopkins, who doesn't get too far, but just like JT Barrett, always falls forward for a 3-yard gain, we'll call it. 3rd and 6. As Hopkins got there, but Uche and Glasgow team up to bring him down. It's 3rd and long. This is where Michigan wants to have Army, and this might be their best chance to stop them for the rest of the game. 7:39 and counting. If they allow Army to pick up this first down, Michigan is not getting the ball back until there's under 5 minutes left.
Big House starting to get yet a little bit louder. 3rd and 6.
Still in that flex bone defense as the Big House erupts right now for a pivotal 3rd down, the biggest one of the season so far, that's for sure. And Army has to use their final timeout.
And timeouts don't quite matter as much to Army as they work with the same methodical pace.
That is their second timeout. There was a injury timeout that I incorrectly counted as an Army timeout earlier, so that is still their second time. Yep, they have one left, but Army is burning through these timeouts quickly. Credit to the fans here in the Big House making themselves heard, and Army got confused on a huge 3rd down. Probably a good idea for them anyway to take their time and really consider what they want to draw up here.
Because this is pivotal, and this isn't. If there's not a great punt, Michigan could have decent field positioning, and if Michigan at least gets a field goal, then Army's going to have to really rush, which they're not accustomed to doing. Right before that play, you could tell Army was looking a little out of sorts because they had a big personnel and substitution, which Army doesn't do too much, and that happened relatively late along the play clock with about 20 seconds or so, and they just could not huddle fast enough, and it looked like the writing was on the wall for them to have to burn a timeout. Good news for the Wolverines. Wolverines can rest up a little bit and hopefully attack these Army Black Knights and force maybe a punt. However, the closer and closer we do get to midfield, the more likely Army is to go for it. And if they can get within a couple yards, it seems like Army for sure will go for it. We've said this so many times already, Daniel, but Army, the best team in the nation on 3rd and 4th downs last year.
Now, their usual 3rd down is much closer than this, though.
Oh, yes, much this. But if they can get it 4th and 1, 4th and 2nd, they will most likely go for it. Army last year, best in the nation on these conversions. Also, one of the best years in the history of Army football, getting 11 wins, including a routing of Houston in a bowl game in which they put up 70. Army really doing good things with their program as of late. After losing, I think 15 years to Navy consecutively in the Army-Navy rivalry game, Army has really turned the tide, winning 3 in a row now, and they've now won 2 consecutive Commander-in-Chief trophies, something they've never done before.
Yeah, they have really flipped the script in that rivalry, something Michigan would like to figure out how to do. But
I mean, we're going to give a lot of credit to Army, but if Michigan plays this way against our rivals in Columbus, probably won't look quite as pretty, and I can guarantee you they won't be tied in the 4th quarter.
Here we go. This is for all the marbles. 3rd and 6. Army at their own 38-yard line. Line to gain is the 44. 7:20 to go in this one. Still in that flex bone formation. 3 down linemen. Uche standing up at the B gap. And it's not going to go anywhere. That's a short gain for Army, and Michigan is going to live to fight another day. But Army might want to consider going for it here. It's 4th and about 3.5. Interesting play call, handing it off to Slomka. I think they were anticipating Michigan to sell out more on the pass.
I think so, and now it looks like the punt unit is coming on. But be wary if you're Michigan. We have seen a fake already today. Wouldn't be surprised if Army tries to go for something here, but their punters had a nice day at the office.
Ronnie Bell is back to return. He's had a disastrous day returning punts, and Josh Medalis saved him from disaster on the last return as he recovered it. Standing at his own 19-yard line, that one is nearly blocked. It's a short punt that a Michigan player might have gotten a hand on that. There was no flag as they hit the back foot of the kicker. Ultimately, it takes a favorable Army bounce and parks on the 15-yard line. Army with a phenomenal day punting.
And this is the second time we've seen a Wolverine player come just inches away from blocking the punt. Looked like it could possibly be a running into the kicker, but really not enough contact, and it was very clearly incidental.
And it's also not running into the kicker if you get your hand on the ball. I don't think that is what happened, but it was a weird-looking punt. Took a great bounce for the Black Knights, though. And now Michigan is 85 yards away from the game-winning touchdown, potentially. It'll be interesting to see how quickly they play this, because Army just grinds through the clock so quickly. At the same time, though, if Michigan even kicks a field goal with 2 minutes to go, they're going to put Army in a very uncomfortable situation, because they only have 1 timeout left.
They do.
They are not equipped to go even 20 yards in 2 minutes if they have to. So Michigan, if they can just take up 4 minutes here and kick a field goal, they're going to be in very good shape. However, if they go 3 and out and have to punt the ball back to Army, they're in big trouble of never seeing the ball again.
They are. So this might be the most pivotal offensive possession of this game for the Maize and Blue. Shea Patterson pretty hot on his last 2 drives. They had a score, and then last time just missed out on doing it again. They went for it on 4th down, could not make it, but they did get in field goal range after driving all the way down the field. They'll have a lot of real estate to work with, though, as they're not going to start this drive in very good field positioning.
And one thing to consider is had Michigan kicked a field goal on the previous drive, that would really change the dynamics of this possession.
Oh, it would have. I mean, hindsight is always 20/20, but if you do kick that field goal and stop Army, you're sitting pretty.
You sure are. That 4th down play, though, was blown up, and Michigan paid the price severely. Also, of course, Quinn Nordine missed a 55-yarder just to his right. Had he made that, or if Shea Patterson had not committed intentional grounding the play before, there might have been a much more makeable field goal, and Michigan could be looking at a 20-14 lead, a 17-14 lead right now. That could have changed everything. A lot of ifs, ands, or buts for Michigan in this game, but ultimately, the reality is there's 6.5 minutes to go. The ball's at their own 16-yard line, and they're tied with the Army Black Knights. 3 wide, all the Pattersons left, and Turner, the running back, to his right. It's a give to Turner, who is moving right, has some room, almost gets to the second level, but is leveled at the 22. It's going to be a nice 6-yard gain on 1st down, as the running game was going stale on the Wolverines there for a second.
Yeah, as soon as they passed the 50-yard line on the last drive, it seemed like they were just running into walls. Good to see a running back get some open space right there, but he just got popped. Really good thing he held on to the ball, though, with the way Michigan has been putting it on the ground.
Injured Army Knights, it's McClinton again, who was hurt earlier in this half. It was a phenomenal tackle by Javari Bordeaux, who after McClinton forced Turner to jump over him, Javari Bordeaux went high and just bumped shoulder to shoulder into Turner and knocked him right to the ground. If Turner came back, landed on his feet, he might have been able to explode for a few more yards. 2nd and 4, still a good position for the Wolverines, but right now, everything is about Jalen McClinton, who is being attended to by trainers for the 2nd time in this half.
And he looks to be in considerable pain right now. He was able to get up last time and obviously got back in the game. We really hope he can get up under his own power right now, but probably not looking good for him to return to this game. We really wish him the best right now as the stadium has fallen silent.
And the play is under review for targeting. It was a vicious hit, but it seemed clean to me when I watched it live. We'll have to see what the replay says about it. We'll wait till we get some replay up here in the booth to weigh in further. But I believe McClinton got injured when Turner fell back down on him following the hit. Now we have the replay. Let's see. What do you think here, Alex?
I mean, I think it's pretty clean. It did not look like targeting, but anytime there's an injury and a hit that big, they're going to take a look at it. But
that second angle looks a bit worse for Javari Bordeaux, who is the man in danger of getting ejected from this game if it is targeting. The first angle we didn't have a great look because the Michigan line was blocking our view. I still don't think you can call that targeting just yet because the ruling on the field was no targeting.
I really don't think he was leading all with his head. Sure, his head was down, but you have to be in that position to tackle a player going full speed, and it wasn't like he was head hunting out there. He maintained the same posture throughout. I just really wouldn't call this one a targeting, but
I think the posture, as you mentioned, is a big part of this because he really did not change his direction at all.
He didn't, and you see so many times players headhunting and going for big hits, really putting their head so much farther in front of their body. You know, I think it would be a shame if this were called targeting. But probably, besides the yardage on the play, wouldn't mean too much, as McClinton would probably leave the game, and I really do hope they're looking out for his best interests and his health, because he's taken a beating in this quarter so far.
Army's in danger of losing 2 DBs as we get the call. And the call is a personal foul, so they must have had a look we didn't, because that means indisputable video evidence, and Army has tragically now maybe lost 2 defensive backs. Javari Bordeaux is going to be ejected from this game. Will miss the first half of the next game as well.
Excuse me, I thought that penalty was called on McClinton. My bad. Well, yeah, this is where it starts to hurt for Army, and Army, as good as they are, they're not one of those teams that's really, really deep, especially if you're competing with athletes like Michigan has. So this is where they could really start to take over right here. We talked so much about this wide receiver core going into the year. Of course, DPJ not playing, but Nico Collins certainly one of the tops in the Big Ten. Ronnie Bell, who's been hot in this quarter and certainly has experience.
And that advances the ball to the 37-yard line. 11 personnel for Michigan. They fake the handoff to Bell, give it to Charbonnet instead, who is patient, but ultimately not for a huge reward, as he's able to fall down forward for a meager gain. McCelm Morrison in on the stop, as he's probably filling in now for Javari Bordeaux, who is out of the game. Don't see McClinton out there either. That's unsurprising, given that how long he was down for. So Michigan now faces 2nd and 8 at their own 39. 5:35 and counting to go in this one. Michigan in the shotgun, but a much tighter formation right now, as they give it again to Charbonnet. Doesn't have much daylight to work with here either, and just tries to muscle his way further for a decent gain now. He might have been able to get 5 yards on that and advance himself to the 44. He did. There was not really anywhere to go. Runs around the right tackle Bates and then just muscles his way forward to pick up 5 yards. 3rd and 3. This is a huge 3rd and short for Michigan, and certainly not 4-down territory like where their last drive ended. We have just crossed the 5-minute mark. This is a colossal play right now. Can Michigan pick up their first 3rd down of this drive? 3 receivers all out wide to Patterson's right. Turner is the lone back. They fake the handoff. No, it is the keeper. And he crossed the line of the game. That's going to be a 1st down for Charbonnet, rather. So Michigan avoids the dramatics and gives the ball on the ground for a huge 1st down.
And they've really just been playing it safe a lot today, handing it off consistently to Charbonnet. Charbonnet now has 27 carries on the day in just his 2nd game wearing a Michigan uniform.
Phenomenal blocking by the right side of that line. They let Charbonnet get way downfield before he got a hit. That'll be a 5-yard gain, 1st and 10 from the 49. It's another give to Charbonnet, who is trying to move right, wisely cuts in left before going down. That'll be another 3 yards. Michigan, a lot like Army, getting these runs 3 yards at a time and progressing toward the 1st down. 4 minutes to go now in this one. 2nd and 6 from the 48-yard line for Michigan. 2nd and 7. The PA announcer got it wrong at first, but that's all right. 1 yard to go.
And now Michigan's starting to look a little bit like Army, but a little bit ago I wanted to call on Nyewu, Ruiz, Bredesen, and Runyon, these veteran leaders on the O-line for Michigan, and they've done a fantastic job this drive.
They're also seeming to want to run the ball out, clock out, ball snap with 3 to go on the play clock. Shea, on a design keeper, is able to follow some blocks and get within 2 yards of the line to gain.
And Michigan will be in no hurry to get a playoff right here, even if they don't.
And Patterson is injured.
Oh, no. This is not good for Michigan. Dylan McCaffrey already on the field.
McCaffrey now talking to coaches. Patterson, by rule, is going to have to miss out on the next play. So 3rd and 3 again, a huge one right after the last. And Dylan McCaffrey is going to have to take over. He's gotten in this game once and threw an incompletion way over the intended receiver's head. We'll see what McCaffrey can do here. Now, he is the kind of quarterback you might prefer in short yardage situations. He is incredibly athletic. I think you probably know who he's related to if you're listening at home right now.
Yeah, Dylan McCaffrey. Actually, one of my favorite welcome to Michigan moments for me, Daniel, was freshman year. I was living in South Quad, and I was in the South. One of the first weeks of the NFL football season, I was watching in one of the common areas, and who else but Dylan McCaffrey casually watching his brother Christian play in the NFL. You don't see that too often.
Yep, a very athletic family. Younger brother Luke is the backup for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Took a redshirt season last year. And furthermore, there's one more McCaffrey brother still in high school. Patterson pops up under his own power and puts his helmet on.
Of course.
Tries to rejoin the huddle.
Of course, Father Ed, a Broncos standout, and Denver, the family from Castle Rock and Valor Christian High School. They've certainly made a name for themselves there. And for my family that lives out there, they've done a really good job giving back to their community and putting Valor Christian on the map. That's a very, very good dynasty out there in Central Colorado.
They're the new Gronkowski brothers of sorts. So, McCaffrey in shotgun formation on 3rd and 3. 2 tight end set. Charbonnet in the back. It's a give to Charbonnet, who doesn't have much daylight. He is stopped short of the line to gain in decision time again for Michigan. 3 minutes to go exactly right now. 36 to go on the clock. If Michigan chooses to punt, they can really milk this down, take the delay of game penalty, and pin Army back deep. But the offense is staying on the field. Last time I predicted it was just going to be a hard count. This time we'll see if they are intent. This is a huge gamble. Ball at the 43-yard line. 4th and 2. Charbonnet in the back. 2 wide receivers. It's snapped. Charbonnet keeps it, fighting forward at the line of scrimmage, and he is brought down. I think he's short. It'll come down to the spot.
And that might be what buries him. He's going to be short.
Yep, the spot is in. He is short of the line to gain, and Michigan has turned the ball over on downs for the second consecutive drive. The offense got way too predictable there. Back-to-back drives ending because of obvious handoffs. They are going to bring out the chains to measure this one, but I can tell from up here it is short.
Yeah, you don't need prescription glasses to see that one, Daniel. Yet again, the Wolverines failing to convert on 4th down is something Army does so well. And now, the one point of optimism for the Wolverines is that there's only 2 minutes, 32 seconds, and Army is not quite known to be an elite kicking team, as they are going to be short.
That is indeed short. You can hear the Army fans here right now celebrating, going wild. Army has a bit of a ways to go. I don't think they can drive 58 yards. The ball is on the Army 42 in 2 minutes, 32 seconds. They only have one timeout. That might be crucial. Now, their kickers are not known for their excellence, really, but they don't have to go all that far to set up at least a chance to upset Michigan here.
Well, Daniel, if you want to reach a little bit here and be kind of ridiculous, if you want to look for some good news for the Wolverines, the last time Army played a ranked team, it was actually almost a year ago in Norman against the Oklahoma Sooners. The Sooners won that game in their home field and ended up going to the college football playoff.
And that game was in overtime as well. 1st and 10 for the Black Knights. 2:32 to go. Ball on their own 42. Their play action pass. They fire downfield, and that one isn't near any receiver. Lands out of bounds. So 2nd and 10, and Michigan with a huge win on 1st down, keeping Army away from the sticks. And I think Army knows if they run their usual offense, they're not going to get close enough to the goal line to try to attempt the field goal.
I think so, Daniel. They tried to kind of catch them off guard, going to it just straight on 1st down.
Michigan very reactive to the play action there. That is something that got them burnt earlier in this half on the first drive of the half for the Black Knights. And I think Army's decided they need to get within 40 yards for the field goal to attempt the field goal. So now, 2nd and 10. The Big House on its feet. 3 down linemen. Army, they're going to pitch it to the backfield. Uche in pursuit, but he breaks the tackle and is brought out of bounds at the 49-yard line, right around midfield. It's going to be 3rd and short, and that's a big win for Army right there, gaining 80% of the necessary yardage, and they are in that coveted 3rd and short position. I don't think they can go for it on 4th if they want to, though. Ball is placed exactly at midfield, the nose of the ball. being right on top of that 50-yard line.
A crucial mitch by Uchi. He just missed making the tackle and tripping him up, but he probably should have read that a little bit better. There's another man on the quarterback there.
3rd and 2, 7 in the box. And he is stuffed at the line to gain. Michigan has turned back Slomka. In a huge turn of events, Michigan gets their first tackle for a loss of the game on the most important play of the game, 3rd and 2. Michigan has not yet called timeout, 1:43, 1:42 and rolling. But you have to think this is... No, Army keeps their offense out on the field. I don't agree with this decision, but Army's going to go for it on 4th and 2. Ball was advanced just beyond the 50 on that last push. 126, 125. Army snaps it. They pitch it back, and he's going to gain the first down. That's a first down for Army. He is tackled in bounds, though, so 119, 1-8. No, they call time, or well, the clock is stopped because it's a first down. Artis Hobbs gets the first down before Daxton Hill can make the tackle, getting important action now early in this game. Not early, but late in a very important game. The true freshman is on the field now, perhaps the best athlete on the field right now. 1st and 10 from the 46. Army, both teams being very aggressive, wagering on 4th down. Army hands it off down the middle. Slomka has some room to run and crosses the 40. They're already in prayer field goal position, but there's 1:02, 1:01, 1 minute and counting. 1 first down, and they can get into reasonable field goal position. They have not been great. They are not known for their field goal specialty. 2nd and 4, 47 seconds and counting. 1 timeout still in Army's pocket. Army, it's a keeper for Hopkins. Advances it forward, across for the 41 to the 40. That's a first down for Army, and that will stop the clock. 40 to go. Be a 57-yarder from right here. Don't think they want to kick that, but they are inching forward toward field goal range, and Michigan really has to question that decision to go for it. Army, meanwhile, risked it all on that 4th down conversion. They got it, though, and they are probably going to win if things go their way, but they're not. They're taking their time. 26, 25, yet to snap. Hopkins still under center. Hands it off down the middle, nothing doing. He's stuffed for maybe a 1-yard gain. 18, 17. Army has to call timeout soon. They do, and Michigan is limiting this to what will have to be a very long kick. Ball's at the 35-yard line. 17 seconds to go. It'd be a 52-yarder. What do you think's going through both coaches' heads right now, Alex?
Well, it seems like I can never tell what's going through Harbaugh's head, Daniel. The man is an enigma, but I can tell you what's going through my head and probably the head of every single Michigan fan in the stadium today. It was the big clutch kicking and the failure to make field goals for Michigan that did the man against Appalachian State on that fateful morning or afternoon in 2007. And I'm kind of having the same feeling right now. I hate to bring it up, but I mean, a field goal, as difficult as it might seem from 50 plus, it's definitely makeable, and it's definitely something we've seen before.
Cole Talley, Army's kicker, has never attempted a field goal in his collegiate career. Army won 14-7 last week. He's 0 for 0 on his career, 4 for 4 on extra points right now. We know he can make it from there. We might have to dig back and find some high school stats if there's time. Army has no timeouts. So this is probably going to be a passing attempt. If not, they're going to have to spike the ball very quickly. It is 2nd down, so they can spike. They might want to line this up down the center. We'll see what they do. 35-yard line, 2nd and 10, 17 seconds to go. It's a handoff to Slomka, who is up and brought down at the 32-yard line, 33 maybe. 9 seconds, 8. They're going to have to snap this quickly. They might not have time. 5, 4, Hopkins under center, 3, 2. They spike it with 2 seconds left. The ball's on the 33-yard line, and we're going to see Cole Talley attempt a 50-yard field goal to win it here in the Big House. Army with the opportunity to go 6-4 against Michigan and remain the only team to play Michigan more than 5 times and have a winning record against the Wolverines. And what a first kick of your career here for Cole Talley. This is going to be huge, and reminds me a little bit of that Purdue-Nevada game 10 days ago on week 1 where Michigan had that turnover on downs. They're calling a timeout right now to ice the true freshman kicker from Rockwall, Texas.
And this is a kick that will go down in Army history. For
better or for worse.
Yep. Either way, Army has been the winners here today. taking Michigan right to the end of this game. It's going to be, even if it is a win for Michigan, it's gonna feel like a loss as everyone leaves the stands here after today's game, which seems like it's going to end in a matter of seconds here.
As I'm trying to look up Cole Talley's high school stats, trying to find special teams. He was the kicker for 3 years for his high school, and Michigan fans aren't going to like this. I'm looking at kickoffs. So field goals, he was career long as a 49 in high school. This is a 50-yarder. The ball is going to be snapped right to that 40-yard line. Here we go. Cole Talley to win this game. The chance to upset number 7 Michigan in the big house. That kick is up, and it is just short. Michigan survives into overtime, and the big house has gotten as loud as it has been all day. Cole Talley had a career long of 49 in high school, and that one would have been good maybe from 40. That might have also been to the right too, but it ends up going right under the corner of the right upright in the crossbar. Michigan survives to fight another day as the kickers are cumulatively 0 for 2 in this one.
And Daniel, you said it a little bit ago, but the miss from Nordine earlier, and then the decision not to kick a field goal but to go for it, Michigan made around 5 minutes ago, with 5 minutes left on the clock, really coming back to haunt them. Army, they're winning this game. They have the mental edge right now, and yes, that was a big sigh of relief from the big house, but they're just going to tense up yet again. Army, a team that has this overtime experience, like I mentioned, last year in Norman, Oklahoma, taking the Sooners right to the brink in overtime. Oklahoma, led by Heisman winner Kyler Murray, just escaped that game, but that was a team that made it to the college football playoff. I do not know if this is the same caliber Michigan team that Army's going against today.
No shame in beating Army in overtime. Any win against them is a well-deserved one. They won 11 games last year, going 11-2. Jim Harbaugh was pumped up following that missed field goal. An important storyline that was lost in all that commotion was that Shea Patterson left the game with an injury. McCaffrey handed it off twice to Charbonnet, who only gained 2 yards in those 2 handoffs. He needed 3. Both QBs are warming up on the sideline right now. You would think that's a good sign that Patterson is good to go, but you never know. They might just be trying to keep Army guessing if Patterson is not ready to go in this one. But Army, I feel, is a very dangerous team to play in overtime.
Very, very
I think
dangerous.
if
with a short field, too.
Michigan has to keep them out of the end zone, because I think if they score a touchdown, they're going for 2. Their decision to go for it on 4th and 2 a moment ago in this game, they were risking the whole game right there, and it paid off. I think if they have the chance to go for 2 and win this game, that's what they're going to attempt. Michigan, of course, if you win the coin toss, you have to go second. But if they lose the coin toss, go first, they might want to preemptively go for 2. Because I think that's what Army's going to do, and Army usually gets it when they try that.
A nervous hush has fallen over the crowd in Michigan Stadium. Over 110,000. Most of them on their feet as we await the start of the first overtime period. Of course, the college overtime rules and system favor Army here, as they won't have to go the length of the field to score. It's condensed for them. They're going to start on the 25-yard line. Michigan is going to need to give it everything they've got as the captains make their way to midfield for this overtime coin toss.
Michigan's captains approach midfield. Looks like Patterson is one of them, so I think that's a sign he's good to go. And this is going to be the most dramatic coin toss I think I've ever broadcasted as a member of WCBN. We got Bredesen, Patterson out there as well as Metellus and Hudson. It will be Army's call, though, as the road team. We will let you know. I'll try to call this in the air. And Michigan has won the coin toss as the big house erupts. They're going to defer, and that will be huge because Army is deadly on 2-point conversions. Not that they've attempted one this year, but you know how they like it with about 2.5 yards to go.
Michigan wants to win this game. They're probably going to have to score on every possession, and they're going to have to stop Army. They're going to have to stop them and score. Michigan is not going to be. They're not going to get lucky here. Probability of that is just too low. Army's too good of a team, especially in this scenario. And Michigan is going to have to go out and win this ballgame. They are going to have to prove to themselves that they can stand up, stand tall, and dominate. They are the more physical team. They are the more athletic team. They are the bigger team. They are the faster team. There's no reason why they shouldn't win this overtime. There's no reason why they shouldn't win this game. They've played poorly up to this point. Well, Army hasn't even played that fantastic. I think they're capable of more. But this is huge right now. It all comes down to this. No more time on the clock. We are about to begin overtime number 1.
Yep, Army's favorite strategy of burning the clock no longer useful anymore. 0-0-0. Time doesn't count anymore, only the play clock. Army brings a man in motion. Give it to Slomka, who is going to be tackled for no more than 2 yards. Successful down for Michigan. 2nd and 8 upcoming from the Michigan 23.
Last year in Norman, the final score was 28-21. Sooners could possibly have the same exact final score tonight.
I'm very curious to see what Army will do here if they get held to 4th down. It will in all likelihood be 4th and short. I don't think they're going to give up till they get to that end zone, and they're going to go for that end zone twice. 2nd and 8. Army hands it off to Slomka again. Able to fight forward for 3 yards. It's going to be 3rd and 5, and that's what you want to limit Army to. Keep it less than 3. I think this is 4 down territory for the Black Knights.
Oh, of course it is. Unless there's a fumble, you're going to have to stop them from getting to that 10-yard line 2 more times, Daniel.
Michigan pumping in 7 Nation Army, trying to get the crowd on their feet. This is overtime in Michigan Stadium. The stage doesn't get bigger than this. Army would certainly skyrocket to the top 25 with the win here. 3rd and 4 from the 19. Army in the flex bone formation, man in motion. Give it to Slomka again. Flag flies as he is stuffed.
It's going to be offsides on, I believe that was Josh Metellus.
Good eye if that is the case, and that will be a backbreaker for the Wolverines if that is the call.
It is.
Preliminary signals are against Michigan.
And that's
you could hear a pin drop again in the big house right now.
Ridiculously poor mistake, mental lapse that could be so easily avoided.
And it is offsides against the defense. And that is shocking. Michigan had them stopped. Likely would have gone for it.
Well, you had an opportunity to almost win the game for Michigan if you somehow can stop them on that 4th down. Or if you just get one stop, you get the ball back and a field goal wins it.
And that's offsides on Kalik Hudson, the senior captain. Ball now on the 14-yard line. 1st and 10, Black Knights. It's a keeper for Hopkins, who's still up and gets to the 6-yard line. That's a great 1st down attempt, and Army right now is going to be able to do their thing, gain 2 yards at a time, and get a touchdown if they can stick to that plan. Michigan actually has committed fewer penalty yards than Army, 7 for 58 versus Army's 8 for 69, but 2nd and 2 from the 6 now. That was a great play design. I could not tell who had the ball until Hopkins was had nearly broken loose. Got tackled at the 6. 2nd and 2. Army 6 yards away from pay dirt. Michigan loading the box. It's a giver to Slomka, who is tackled right at the line of scrimmage. Maybe got half a yard. Michigan lives to fight another day, but it's going to be very, very difficult to stop Army, who is almost certainly going to go for it 2 more times.
Forgetting about the stakes and the out-of-conference matchup to a non-ranked opponent, even though they might be one of the top 25 teams pound for pound, and being early in the season, forget all of that. If Michigan can stop them right here, this would be amongst the greatest stances in Michigan defensive history.
3rd and 2, ball on the 6. Michigan probably has to stop Army 2 more times. Hopkins keeps it, goes forward, he's loose, touchdown, falls into the end zone. Kelvin Hopkins has scored the touchdown. It's 20-14, Black Knights. This is what they live for, these short yardage situations. Hopkins kept it, had his lead blockers, and was able to dive into the end zone. Michigan was able to bring him down, but not before he fell forward into the end zone. Jordan Anthony got his hands on and brought him down, and they are going to be going for 2. No, the kicker is on the field. Ruling on the field is under review. I would personally be shocked if Army decides they want to kick this extra point and give Michigan a chance to walk out of double overtime with still alive. I think they're going to want to force Michigan to go for 2, but I'm not going to second guess head coach Jeff Monken, who won 11 games last year at Army and is on the verge of a very impactful 2-0. Even if this is not a touchdown, it will be first and goal from a hair away from the end zone. And that was a quick review. It was pretty obvious. Hopkins is into the end zone. We'll see what unit they bring out there. I do not see Hopkins, so I think Army is settling for an extra point here. I guess they want to be the team going second here for the second OT if it gets there. Michigan's offense is going to have to score a touchdown. Of course, Talley missed the field goal that could have won this game, but he's 2 for 2 on extra points, 4 for 4 on the season. From the 10-yard line, it is up, it is good. 21-14 Black Knights. They've now reached their total of points against Michigan as they did against top 10 Oklahoma last year in Norman.
And once again, the Big House crowd is silent.
This has been one of the most remarkable games I have ever witnessed in person. I've been to nearly 100 college football games in my lifetime, and anytime it goes to overtime, it's one of the most memorable. But what Army has done here, coming into the Big House, Michigan, of course, is in this position largely because they shot themselves in the foot a couple of times here and there. 2 costly first half fumbles from Shea Patterson, a Josh Metellus touchdown return that was not one after all, 2 decisions to go for it on 4th down that backfired, and that missed Nordine field goal after the intentional grounding call. We'll see what Patterson and the offense can do here to make up for their 14 points. Bell comes in motion. It's a give to Charbonnet, who cuts, finds a good hole, and gains 4 yards on 1st and 10. Of course, it's always 4-down territory now for Michigan, who were nearly off the field before Kalik Hudson snuck offsides on 3rd and 2.
If you're a senior, you just can't be making those kind of mistakes, Daniel. And regardless of how this game ends up, I can guarantee you there will be no seat hotter in the United States of America than Jim Harbaugh's hot seat that he will inevitably be on.
I don't know if you can get mad at Harbaugh just yet. I mean, certainly the fans can be upset with this game. Bell in motion again. It's a give to Charbonnet, who has nowhere to go. This Michigan offense has gone entirely too predictable, and whoever the play caller is going to be answering a lot of questions. This does not felt like a Gaddis offense, so that is for sure. That 404 tight defense that Army runs, it's been a spread stopper in college football, has been very effective in slowing down what would be a typical Gaddis offense. 3rd and 6.
If they don't get 6 yards in 2 plays right now, they lose at home to Army.
4-down territory. 3 receivers out, wide left. The usual suspects, Collins, Bell, and Black. Patterson drops back. Charbonnet in pass protection and finds Ronnie Bell. 1st down. Tries to tiptoe his way across the 10. We'll see where they ruled him out. Going to be the 12, which is probably better for Michigan. I would rather have 1st and 10 from the 12 than 1st and goal from the 9 if I knew I had to score a touchdown. Try to set up a short 1st and goal. And Michigan survives to play another down. Fans want a late hit call, but they're not getting one.
And it's only 12 to go, but Daniel, let me tell you, this is going to be about the longest 12 yards you've ever seen.
Yep, sure will. And Ronnie Bell with his 3rd huge 3rd down conversion of the game. Patterson keeps it, throws into double coverage, and that bounces off of Tariq Black's chest, but a flag flies. Tariq Black is slow to get up, but he looks all right. This is almost certainly going to be pass interference. The ball was thrown the flag was thrown from the end zone, rather.
I think, again, Daniel, it's that not looking back. They'll call it every single time. Michigan getting a little lucky right here, shortening that field. And you think it'd be crazy if Army surrenders more penalty yards to Michigan?
And that's almost
to have
inevitable.
Army be in the driver's seat?
Service academies are famous for their phenomenal discipline. They had 2 personal fouls, and that really came back to bite them there as Malcolm Morrison committed the defensive pass interference against Tariq Black, which advances the ball all the way to the 3-yard line. Michigan has 4 chances to punch the ball in from 3 yards and extend this game to double overtime. No excuses if they can't do it here, but of course Morrison in the game for the ejected Jabari Bordeaux. It's a give to Charbonnet, still up, churning, fighting, into the end zone. No! Michigan touchdown indeed. Officials were giving mixed signals, but it is a touchdown. Charbonnet fights his way to the end zone, falls just across. They will probably look at this as officials gave combating calls on the field.
Yeah, almost a little bit of replacement ref action right there. One official giving the touchdown, one saying down at the inch line. But hey, don't be happy too soon because Moody has to make this kick or else it's all over.
Yep, Moody to extend the game now for an extra point. Kick is underway. It is up and it is good. Fans kind of held their breath right there. That was tight along the right upright. But Michigan gets through. And on review, yes, Charbonnet did get it across. I'm surprised he did not go to official review there. He barely got that in before his elbow landed on the ground. Charbonnet, though, with the huge touchdown, drags 2 Golden Knights, Black Knights rather, into the end zone with him, as Charbonnet ties this game back up with the assist from Jake Moody to get that 7th point on the board.
You know, the Golden Knights named after the Black Knights, an homage to West Point, as George McPhee, maybe it wasn't him, but the owner for the Las Vegas Golden Knights, a graduate of the U.S. Military Academy. Right now, even after this touchdown, the fans still a little shocked. A lot of nervous energy.
You can say that again.
It almost feels like the undergraduate library the night before finals are about to begin.
And now Michigan's going to go right back on offense. Those are the rules of college overtime. It's not until the 3rd overtime you have to go for 2. I do think if Michigan scores a touchdown followed by an Army touchdown, we're going to see Army go for 2. But clearly, I thought they were going to go for 2 last overtime. That was not the case. So Jeff Monken, we'll see what's in his head. Michigan getting right back out there. That defense should be tired. That is the one benefit of having to go to 2nd overtime and going first in the 2nd overtime round. So this score is going to get really inflated. At least there will be more than 42 points scored when it's all said and done.
And Michigan has to get a touchdown right here, Daniel.
I agree completely.
For a field goal if they want to win. And don't be too ridiculous. Don't go for it on 4th and 7. But they need to get in the end zone right here. And they need to open up too, because the last couple of drives when they've closed themselves and run what seems like the same running play, it has not been working. Army's been catching up to that. Charbonnet has not been as effective and has not had much room to run.
Patterson from the shotgun. Charbonnet, the lone back. He has taken over as Michigan's go-to running back. 2 tight end set. Collins and Black, the receivers. Patterson drops back, is looking toward the end zone, fires to Tariq Black, got the wrong number 7. Doesn't matter. That ball hit the stands. That was way over Nico Collins' head, rather, and that was uncatchable.
And Patterson really just has not been able to connect with any receivers for more than 15 yards downfield, it seems like. It's just been a mess for him. He's either been too high, overthrowing it too much, or underthrowing it. It's been a little bit ugly, and he hasn't done his job in terms of just getting it to where that receiver can make a play, because Michigan has such talented guys out there. 2nd
and 10. Michigan already pulled out a fake punt this game. We'll see if they have any plays drawn up for this situation. Patterson drops back again. 3 wide receivers set now. And that ball is in and out of Tariq Black's hands. It was a bit difficult to get to, but it did hit him on the mitts, and he could not draw that in. That's his 2nd drop of the game. and Michigan is feeling this one slip away from them. 3rd and 10. It'd be a 42-yarder from right here, and that is no gimme.
Yeah, you really do start to feel it slipping away from them right here, Daniel. It's not looking good. This is it's almost like every consecutive play in this overtime is going to start to be the most important play, but right now this is.
And the absence of Donovan Peoples-Jones might be felt in this one. He is still out, had foot surgery over the summer. They have not used him yet. Patterson drops back again, fires way out of Black's range. That's an incompletion. 4th and 10 now. Michigan's going to have to kick a long field goal, and it is Moody coming out to kick the field goal. Michigan would not be in this situation had Nordin hit a 55-yarder earlier. That is a tall task to ask of a kicker. But it is now Jake Moody coming out to attempt the field goal. If Michigan misses this one, this game's about over. As we saw 3 quick incompletions from the Josh Gaddis offense here. Will Hart kneeing at his own 32. The kick is up, and it is good. Michigan.
Daniel, I'm not liking this, Daniel. I said at the beginning of this drive they have to get in the end zone, and they didn't.
Well, I think there's a high chance we do see a situation here where it's 4th down.
Yeah.
Army is going for it on 4th and short and trying to risk it all right there. When you're going second in overtime, you want to win it on your terms. It's a huge advantage to be going second in college OT.
And Michigan could have possibly forced Army off the field in a 4th and what seemed like 3rd or second, 3rd and 3 or 2. But the costly mental lapse from Kalik Hudson.
Here we go. This is for all the marbles. Army could win it on any play now. Hopkins, right under center. Keeps it. Looking for room. Isn't going to get much of it. It's going to be about a 1-yard gain. Levert Hill, Josh Metellus, and Kalik Hudson are the tacklers. Ran into a swarm of Michigan Wolverines, and that's what you want to do. Limit these gains on 1st down for Army. 2nd and 9. We'll call it 8.5. That ball is right between the 23 and the 24-yard lines. If you limit them to 1.5-yard gains, you're going to win this game if you're Michigan. And you really want to force Talley to attempt his 2nd career collegiate field goal, that's for sure.
You do, because that is not a sure thing by any means, no matter how close they get.
Hopkins back under center. Michigan stacks the box again. He's rolling to his left and is brought down for a loss. Multiple Michigan Wolverines in the backfield. Aiden Hutchinson was the first to get off his block, shoots up the A-gap, and takes down Hopkins.
Michigan finally getting some penetration. Finally. That might be the defensive play of the game for Michigan.
Of the season, no doubt about it. Levert Hill's interception. I'll nominate Levert Hill's interception too. But we did not quite understand the stakes when Levert Hill picked that ball off an hour and a half ago now. 3rd and 11. Michigan is forced to passing down on Army.
And this is Michigan season right here.
You are not going to get a better opportunity to stop Army all game. A rare tackle for a loss.
And they're going to call timeout. Daniel, it's so important, though. They can't just stop them on 4th down because if it's within 3 yards, Army's going to go for it. They're not going to elect to kick the field goal. And I think a good example of that is a couple years ago in Columbus, 3rd and long. Michigan did stop Ohio State, but enough where it was close so that Urban Meyer said, you know what, let's go for it. It's reasonable. And, the rest is history. JT appeared to, depending on who you ask, just get it or just get short.
Michigan fans, I think they're
enough where the refs could call it a 1st down.
Let's not stress out Michigan fans any more than they are right now and drop whether or not JT may or may not have been short there. But right now the ball's in the 26. It's a 43-yarder from here. We saw a kick from 50 that probably would have been good from 43 from Talley, but definitely not one that would inspire confidence from 43. But you're right, Michigan has to treat this like the line to gain is maybe the 20-yard line.
Exactly.
Make it 4th and long.
You don't want to be overly. It's a classic scenario. You don't want to be over-aggressive, but you don't want to be conservative. So,
passing
Michigan,
down.
It all comes down to this.
Hopkins under center. Man in motion. He's dropping back to pass. Michigan comes in and gets the sack. He fumbled. And Michigan, if they can recover that, that's ball game. Michigan thinks they have it. Aiden Hutchinson is jumping up and down. We're waiting for the call. There is a pile of men It's going to be a long kick. No, it's not. Michigan recovers, and in dramatic fashion, Michigan has won the game. Quiddy Pay came up with the ball, and Michigan survives Army. The Cardiac Knights go into their second top 10 road game and win. I have never seen the Michigan fans and the Michigan players as excited at the end of a game in Michigan Stadium. The players ripping their helmets off in the north end zone near campus, jumping up and down and going into the stands. They have survived a heartbreaker, one they're not going to feel great about in a week or so, but they have done it. Army, a team who I think deserves to be in the top 25. They are a nightmare to play. Came in and nearly took down Michigan, but at the last minute of the last hour, Michigan got pressure on that vaunted Army offensive line.
First sack of the game.
First sack of the game. One of their only tackles for a loss, coming in that very, very final drive as they win on their defense. Held them to 14 in regulation. That Levert Hill interception, that final sack to end the game. We did not realize just how pivotal they would be. Michigan fans knew this was a trap game. I'd even argue it was not a trap game at this point with how it got talked to death. Little did we know how much every single play was going to matter.
Well, Daniel, I'm shaking right now. That was, I think you probably tell if you could look at me, but I was very nervous. Good right now. The players are shaking hands. Just a real hell of a performance by Army. They really true. One of the Army class mottos is until the battle is won, and they really were victorious in their effort tonight. Love to see it from Army.
Carlo Kemp and Aiden Hutchinson got in on that sack. A sack that saved, I'm not going to say saved Michigan's season. It's a non-conference game. They could have regrouped. They're going to take negative press for this game. That's a given, but they remain undefeated. They continue to grow that all-time win total as they march toward 1,000. But Michigan, in a game that will go down in Big House history, escapes disaster against the Army Black Knights, who just proved that Oklahoma game a year ago was no fluke. 11 wins a year ago, no fluke. Ultimately, Michigan escapes with the win in one of the most exciting games I've seen from the Big House. Thank you for listening, and we wish you, as always, a good day and to go blue.